Jai Bhim, friends. We are meeting here to remember Mr. V T Rajshekar, who was editor of Dalit Voice and ran the magazine since 1981 till about 2011 when it was closed. And Rajshekar was one of the very few intellectual, very strong votary of Bahujan unity with minorities also, and who spread Ambedkarism, I think, where people had not reached. And this is time to remember his work. I know many of the people had issues also during this time about the language, about the theories that he was propounding, but most of his work was committedly actually for the uh, rights of the oppressed communities world over. I actually came in touch with him in 1990, and since then I was like associated with him till his end, except for the last 1-2 years I could not speak, but otherwise I have been in touch with him on a regular basis. And on the issues, he was not confined to merely the issues of Dalits, but in his whole vocabulary of Dalit, there were minorities, there were blacks, there were other nationalities also. So it was the time when he was like, there was no internet, there were no social media, there were no that not easy access to resource material. And we got a lot of things from Dalit Voice, the issues of racism in America, the relationship between blacks and Dalits in India, all those things. And the most important part was, for me, it was like the reader's column, the letters that used to appear in Dalit Voice. So the letters were enlightening, and it provided us to link with each other. I can say a majority of people or great Ambedkarite that I came in touch with, actually I got many of them the addresses and their thought from Dalit Voice, because the whole letters column used to have the entire, uh, address and email ID and even the phone numbers. And people, once you appear in the pages of Dalit Voice, they would start, writing to you or seeking, kind of building up a relationship. And this relationship grew up. It was not merely confined to one state thing. This has a pan-India appeal. And globally also, Dalit Voice was very well respected. So today we are remembering him as Mr. Rajshekar passed away on November 20th this year in Mangalore at a nursing home. He used to stay in Bangalore earlier, but had shifted to Mangalore. And there he passed away at the age of 93. So today I have a number of friends here who would share their thoughts, and I hope I do not miss anyone. Uh, because many of the friends have known him very closely, associated with him. So I would definitely like all of you to express yourself and share your thought. तो धन्यवाद मेरे दोस्तों। आज हम लोग वीटी राजशेखर जी को याद करने के लिए या उनके साथ या उनके बारे में जो हम जानते हैं शेयर करना चाहते हैं। वीटी राजशेखर ने दलित वॉइस नामक पत्रिका की स्थापना की और 1981 के बाद से ही वो काफ़ी एक्टिव थे। पूरे आंदोलन को उन्होंने बहुत मजबूती दी और दलित बहुजन और दलितों के या अम्बेडकरवादियों के जो दूसरे ऑप्रेस्ड माइनॉरिटीज़ हैं, जैसे ब्लैक्स हैं या मुस्लिम्स हैं या जो भी और सेक्शंस हैं, उनके साथ कैसे रिश्ते हों, उस पर लगातार उन्होंने लिखा और एक पॉलिटिकल थॉट उन्होंने एक समाज को दिया। और इस कारण से उनकी लोकप्रियता, it was very popular among different communities also. एंड इसलिए अब मैं ज़्यादा न कहते हुए आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट, वी हैव प्रकाश जी हैं, प्रकाश जी, प्रकाश जी हैज़ वर्क विद हिम very closely. Hello, Prakash ji.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rawat, for
हाँ,
organizing this function.
yeah.
See, I came in contact with Rajshekar in the year 1976. Before understanding Rajshekar, we should have to know something about B. Shamsundar. B. Shamsundar, he was a president of Bharatiya Bhim Sena. In 1957, he was a legislator. So fortunately, in 1957, VTR was a correspondent for Deccan Herald. So he was impressed by Shamsundar's speeches in the parliament. And later on, he read his literature, everything. When he passed away in 1975, he came to Gulbarga in the same year in the month of November. Then he started inquiring about Shamsundar literature, everything. Then I asked him only one thing. See, your background is something. Your father is a retired district collector. You are from city community. But how can you write about Shamsundar? I said. No, no, no. You just do not know how powerful this leader was when he was MLA. I am very much fascinated. And it is he told me that about this Dalit Muslim Alliance, then backward communities. These are the things you have to follow if you want to become a good journalist. He said, you forget about that communism. He said, from this day onwards, you should not join the communist movement. He said. Then after his marriage, he went to Bombay. His missus was a accountant in the AG office. After his marriage in Bombay, he worked for 2-3 years. Then he went to Delhi, joined the Patriot. That camouflaged Brahminism in communism. Then he returned back to Bangalore. Once again, joined the Indian Express. Then he was dismissed in 1979. This is a blessing in disguise for the Dalit minorities, backward communities. He did not accept the offer of D. Devaraj Aras as his press secretary. He did not even accept the MLC. Then he became a full-fledged Dalit activist. He started Dalit Action Committee, then Dalit Sahitya Academy. Then in 1981, he started Dalit Voice. This is a brief background of Rajshekar. From then onwards, he has edited for almost 30 years. I had been very closely closed with relation with him and his family, everything. For the past 30 years, I have seen him working. Every time, whenever you go to his office, he will be always working. One beautiful part of Dalit Voice was that, as you said, it connected globally. When we used to write our name, addresses, everything, people used to post letter to us, tell us something about Dalit Voice, give us your thoughts, everything. That has connected every throughout world. That is the one magazine we have missed it. Otherwise, we don't have anything. As you very rightly pointed out, that we used to get the calls from different nations also. They used to know about Dalit Muslim Alliance. We used to provide almost all those things. And he's the man who published Shamsundar's Day Burn book. That was priced at 15 rupees highest in those days. That sold it. That he was a very simple man. See, I have seen him for so many years. A man of character and integrity. Man of character, honesty, integrity. I have seen in him. excellent man I have come across in my life. A very excellent man, because very few people you come across someone who you associated with so many years. When he shifted because of his health problem. So I used to go regularly twice in a year. One in the month of November because he was supposed to submit his life certificate. Then he used to keep on insisting, you please come and stay with me because nobody is here to talk to me. Nobody in my, even my relatives do not speak to me. So that's how the every year I used to go. So this time it was 20th. No, I was just planning to go in the last week because I had to submit my certificate. Then suddenly when you rang me up, I was very much surprised. Why this man is ranking around? So then when you told me, then it was very, I could not believe it. I could not digest it. Because 3 months back I was with him for almost 5 days. Somehow he was bit fragile. I could understand that these days are counting because first of all the problem was with the food. See, for 3 times we used to go to the hotels, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As we cannot even live for 8 days with all these food habits, but he did it. But he used to take very quality food. That's the one thing you have to remember it. No, only star hotels, no below star hotels. That's about his missus was also died because of the cancer. So he died too early, 2010. So that's a somehow he last days were not good. Nobody used to come and speak to him because I used to stay there for so many days. Not even relatives, not even the leaders. Today, after this death, they are just issuing all condolences. See, one function was arranged at the request of Dr. Ambedkar. People were invited to across the world. Martin Luther King. Then
Hmm.
I kept on writing, but see, Sidramaya and Health Minister, Mahadevappa, you know him from so many years. I said, why you are not inviting him? They never invited him.
Oh, okay.
Then I wrote 2 years back. This nobody is remembering Rajshekar. They think that he has died. There is no connection. I said, why don't you give an Devaraja's award is there? That also they denied it. And the only thing he got is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar award. It was long back. One Mr. Tangaraju was a principal secretary for social welfare. So we wrote a memorandum asking for Shamsundar. Then he said, it's not possible, he said. This government will not accept it. Then I said, sir, this is the alternative. Can we suppose V T Rajshekar? I said, how do you know Rajshekar? I said, I know him past from so many years. It will be my pleasure. Then we wrote with the Shamsundar this thing, letterhead. That's how he got this thing. This is the brief introduction. Let others speak about him.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Prakash.
Since time is there, we can speak about his writings, books, everything.
Yes, yes, yes. You have given a very interesting background which very few people had known about Mr.
Yeah, that's the
Rajshekar.
reason. That's the reason I wanted to just give a brief.
No, but it is important because when we are calling this meeting, it was the aim also like to, one thing I always was like questioning, why are we unable to create independent, autonomous, institutions, particularly the media that he was very much interested. He wanted to have a Dalit voice, Dalit media, always talked about it. But no help came. Many people actually promised him, many prominent leaders promised him, but it never happened. And today, what happened? Like this question always come: what after you? Who after you? So it came actually also like we had a very prominent magazine run by Mr. L.R. Bali, Bhim Patrika in Punjab, which was spreading Ambedkarism, Dalit Voice, and we see that after their demise, the magazines are also over. And this is like the big issue, and we have a number of friends here who are related with media, have been working with autonomous media, and I would definitely request them how challenging it is and why today we have a very big Ambedkarite, Dalit, or even progressive diaspora people, but we are unable to run institutions, and we suffer actually. The people who make these magazines or journals or online portals virtually suffer because the help doesn't come. That it's very difficult, and we are fighting against the mighty people. So when we close our eyes or we don't speak that much, then people say, why you are silent, you have suffering. But the question is like, we have been suffering for years because, as you said, Rajshekar was not published by any mainstream media. They never dared to publish his article because he was very vocal, very brutal, very clear, and very categorical in speaking. He like is was unfiltered person, can speak with that braveness. uh, but here you have to be diplomatic when you are writing an editorial piece for a so-called mainstream media. So I request Binu Matthew. Binu, are you here? Can you just share with us about like the counter current is doing, and there is a big challenge now. How to run the. He is running the portal himself, and it's very difficult. And what does he like? How he relate with VT Rajshekar? So Binu, please, can you share your thoughts? Binu Matthew. I think. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
Please.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Binu. Yeah, yeah. Please join. I want to hear from you. Like we say, this challenge is always there, with this. Why are we unable to have an autonomous, independent, alternative media? Because VT also fought for that. He could not do that. It all suffered in person. So you have been doing for counter current for so many years. So what is the linkage actually? Because you respected Rajsekhar a lot.
Yeah, I came to Dalit Voice. I was actually introduced to Dalit politics and the importance of, expressing solidarity with Dalits, empowering Dalits. So actually came through Dalit Voice only. My friend Punnus Matan, he's now working with U.S. Consulate. He was a former colleague of mine. He was a regular reader of Dalit Voice, and he actually, I didn't buy a subscription, but he sponsored a subscription for me. He paid the money, and I used to get Dalit Voice for uh, so many years. He was paying the money, I wasn't paying. So he was so insistent that I should read these health issues. So that's how I came to know Dalit Voice. Uh, and then I don't know whether it was in, I don't know, actually the early 2000. By the time I think I had started Countercurrents. Yeah, Countercurrents, many of you may not know about it, but some of you may know. It's a website, countercurrents.org. That is the address name. Yeah, it started in 2002. It was uh, uh, it's a a national, and it covers national, international, geopolitics, energy issues, climate change, human rights, Dalit issues, and all kinds of issues are, it covers a varied number of topics, and it has a varied number of writers from around the world. So uh, So when I was running countercurrents, I used to, V T Rajshekar and his politics influenced me a lot. So uh, countercurrents took it as a responsibility to raise the issues of Dalit. And if we have, uh, we regularly cover the Dalit atrocities against Dalits. and how to empower Dalits. And Vidya Bhushan Rawat, who is a tall Ambedkarite, he used to write for countercurrents from the very early days, and he wrote. He interviewed many Dalit intellectuals and sent to me, and it was published on Countercurrents. And lots of Dalit writers, Kanjailaya, many of may not agree with Kanjailaya, but he, is a Shudra intellectual. He writes for Countercurrents regularly, and many others. So the problem with running, alternative media, I was fortunate because I had a steady job when I started Countercurrent, so I could, support Countercurrents with my, my regular job. I used to work on Countercurrents at night or after work. So since I had my steady job, I could support. So I had an income. So basically, about running alternative media is about money. How are you going to spend so much money to run or a website or even a print magazine? So I was lucky enough to have a steady job. So after some running it for from 15, 16 years, I had a conflict with my management, my organization. So I had to quit. Then onwards, it was a very challenging. It's a very challenging job for me to raise money to run Countercurrents. Running Countercurrents is one thing. But also, I have to secure my living also, my living expenses also. So I have to pay rent, so my son's education, and so on and so forth. So you have to have a a kind of an income to have a at least a moderate existence, and also run the website also. So that is challenging to raise money. So interesting thing is that it's I was reading today about a news item I saw today that Google is doubling the donations to Friends of IDF, Israel Defense Force, Friends of Israel. They are paying any employee or ex-employee of Google for donating $1,000 or more, $1,000 or more. They are doubling the amount. If you pay 1,000, they will pay 2,000. Google company will pay $2,000 to the Friends of IDF.
Oh.
So people like us who are struggling, there is not much people to support people to support us financially. So these evil people like the Zionists who are openly committing genocide in front of while all of us are looking, are getting funding from and also I went through so many articles where many billionaires, even one of the founders of uh, WhatsApp, he's donating some millions of dollars, 10, $15 million he donated last year while the genocide was going on. And also Apple also donating money to these Friends of IDF.
Yeah.
They're doubling the funding.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that, there are people who support these evil forces. So there is not much people to support, uh, these kinds of alternative initiatives where the voice of the marginalized people from India and South Asia and around the world are not there are not much people to support these kinds of initiatives. That is one challenging part of running alternative. And also, second thing is that I don't know what this is a challenge I also face. Um, you said about V T Rajshekar. That's also one factor that there was not much support mechanism for V T Rajshekar to run Dalit Voice after he was forced to close down. There should have been a support mechanism for him to run enough money to raise every year, and there should be somebody to donate money for him to keep doing. And you said about L.R. Bailey, uh, who stopped publishing after the magazine died after his death. There is a continuity. The problem of continuity is also a challenging problem. V T Rajshekar stopped publishing Dalit Voice even before his death. And you said, I don't know
Yeah.
about Bailey. After his death, this magazine was discontinued.
Hmm.
So the problem is that these small initiatives doesn't become an establishment, and that's also a kind of a independence and forthrightness of this, independence and the forthright expression of the, editorial policy. If it becomes an establishment, you have to compromise on so many things. That is what's the one positive aspect. The
Hmm.
negative aspect of is that if the person dies, this continuity is broken and the magazine closes down. So that's, I think, I also think most days about countercurrent, how if I die, who is going to carry on the legacy of countercurrent? Who will carry on the publication of countercurrent? So there is a few things I have to say about V T Rajshekar and the running alternative media. So we have to think collectively how we can keep these kinds of alternative initiatives going forward, supporting each other, expressing solidarity with each other. And humbly, I pay my tribute to V T Rajshekar, who was a tall figure in journalism and also was a Dalit intellectual. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Binu. What you spoke was very important. I say that, we are even the alternative of the alternative media. See, what is happening in today's time, in the name of alternative media, there are corporate media.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
see,
yeah,
there are mainstream, so-called mainstream, or what I call monostream media, and there are so-called alternative who are actually funded by the corporates.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So-
many of the most alternative media are, actually conduct. Yeah, most of the alternative media, if you think about the main alternative media in India, like I don't like to
yeah,
name them, but
yeah, yeah,
most of them are funded by this public
absolutely.
uh, media for public spirit or something. Nandan Nilegani, and also
Yeah,
the Nandagilani is for the Rohini Nilegani's foundation, and also by Tata, and
yeah,
then Wipro, this Asim Premji, and
yeah,
these foundations are running this media, and their interests are, actually, spread through these so-called alternative media. So
yeah.
countercurrents actually, wanted to stay away from these kinds of funding initiative. So that is uh, one aspect that keep independent media from away from these kinds of NGO funding.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's a very important part because that is where because we are challenging itself the alternative media also. The value system that we are in, that challenges the whole ideological framework of the so-called alternative media also. And they will keep on BJP, but sidetrack the issues of whole capitalism and corporate control everywhere actually. And
Yeah, yeah,
if we see today's time, what is happening, many things that VT Rajshekar used to say, actually, that time we would say that he was like, not correct. But today, even when he met Gaddafi, actually, he met Colonel
mm,
Gaddafi, the Libyan dictator, which people would call dictator, but he was a leader there, actually, very popular among the Libyans. And
yeah,
he spoke about it was a black conference, the word black conference, and where he spoke, and then he spoke about the unity of the blacks and Muslim, and he spoke about India and the caste system, and probably a bureau chief of somebody, PTI or UNI came there, and he was very upset, and he spread the news that this man was speaking against India at the international forums. So when VT returned to Bangalore, his passport was confiscated at the airport, and he
mm,
so that was he narrating me the story when I interviewed him. So the problem of this kind of media houses are very like they want to capture the opposition space also. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And I can say that the Ukraine war has clearly actually exposed the liberal elements everywhere globally, which we used to think high about, the BBC, the CNN, all those kind of New York Times. They've got exposed now completely.
Yeah.
So thank you. I think what you raised the issue, it's very important about the alternative media, particularly those being run by the Dalit Bahujan progressive element of people. Actually, they suffer a lot in silence. And I think it is time, this meeting which I called actually was also like to share the experiences of people like you who have been fighting for, I think, counter currents with all your experiences and commitment and reach. And still that you have to, every year at the year end, you have to ask for support, and that doesn't come that easily.
Yeah. It's not coming easily. It's very difficult. So, yeah, that was a challenge. That was what we should have done for V T Rajshekar while he was alive. While
Yes.
he had to close down, there should have been a support mechanism. If there was one, he wouldn't have to, close down that
Yeah, he says
program.
he was like in 2011-12, he went to Mangalore, and then what happened actually is not that it could not run. He denied actually. He says he can run it because he was a single man army. He was doing himself everything except for the typing thing. He was doing all those kind of editorial checks and everything. What happened actually after this current regime came to power, and before, a little bit of 1 2 years before that, nobody was willing to print his magazine. Actually, that's what he told me, that all, even the so-called presses that by the minorities or nobody was keen to. And he says that actually it was done by the Hindutva people who were like threatening to every publisher or printer not to publish his thing. So these are the challenges actually. But we don't have our own setup, and if we have, we also become part of the power structure. So, thank you so much. Your experiences are very important, Binu, because there are so many friends here who are like working on the alternative media, and many of them associated with VTR. I have one friend, Ramdev Viswabandhuji, from Jharkhand. He is from Ranchi, and he has been been supporter and follower of VT Rajshekar. Viswabandhuji, विश्वबंधु
हेलो
जी
हेलो हेलो
हाँ, विश्वबंधु जी, आप वीटी राजशेखर से काफी समय से परिचित थे क्या? शेयर करेंगे उनके बारे में आज?
हाँ हाँ और वीटी राजशेखर तो कह सकते हैं कि वन ऑफ द हाईएस्ट इंटेलेक्चुअल ऑफ द नेशन। ये तो परिचय मेरा एक्चुअली, मैं जब भागलपुर यूनिवर्सिटी में पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट कर रहा था तो मैं वहाँ, मेरी आदत थी कि लाइब्रेरी घुसना, देखना, नई नई किताब को देखना। तो उस उर्दू लाइब्रेरी में मुझे दलित वॉइस के मैगजीन मिल गई, मुझे उर्दू लाइब्रेरी भागलपुर में। एड्रेस लिखा था, एड्रेस अभी मेरे दिमाग में है। वो जो है ना, पैलेस फ्लावर और चार्ट वगैरह सारा कुछ याद, अभी भी याद है। बेंगलोर 56003 एड्रेस अभी भी याद है। तो वहां से पॉकेट से कागज निकाला, एड्रेस नोट किया, पहले एड्रेस नोट किया कि गिरडी आना है, नहीं एमए एग्जाम देकर के तो मुझे आना ही पड़ेगा। और वो एक्चुअली उसमें टैगलाइन था, वॉइस ऑफ द प्रोसिक्यूटेड नेशनलिटीज, वॉइस ऑफ द प्रोसिक्यूटेड नेशनलिटीज, एससी एसटी ओबीसी माइनॉरिटी, जो आपने ब्लैक के बारे में बताया। फिर एड्रेस लिया, पत्राचार किया, पत्राचार हुआ तो मैं रेगुलर रीडर बन गया तो बस पत्राचार हुआ, मेरे भी पत्र कई छपे उसमें, लेटर्स टू द एडिटर। लेटर्स टू द एडिटर तो पूरे वर्ल्ड वाइड था, अरब, अमेरिका, इंग्लैंड, हर जगह से पत्र आते थे, तो नई जानकारी मिलती थी। और लेटर टू द एडिटर में मुझे भी जानकारी मिल गई, पटना में कोई चंदापुरी जी रहते हैं, जो बैकवर्ड क्लास के बड़े लीडर हैं, डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर, उन्हें ही बुलाया था। तो उस लेटर टू द एडिटर से मेरे कांटेक्ट हुए, लोगों से कांटेक्ट हुए। मैंने एसपी सिंह को जाना, आर एल चंदापुरी को जाना, और फिर रिश्ते बन गए। और 99 में ऑल इंडिया अवर्णन साहित्यकार सम्मेलन हुआ पटना में, लालू जी जेल में थे, तो वीटी राजशेखर एज ए स्टेट गेस्ट पटना आए थे, मुझे बुलाया गया था अवर्णन साहित्य, मैं भी गया। मैंने उनसे बात की, आई एम रेगुलर रीडर ऑफ दलित वॉइस, यू फ्रॉम गिरिडीह झारखंड, झारखंड। मैंने फिर पूछा, यू नो आरएल चंदापुर? यस आई नो, इज लीडर ऑफ द बैकवर्ड क्लास। हमके इनवाइट किया आपको, चलिए। तो उनके बेटे गाड़ी से आए, हम लोग गाड़ी में साथ गप करते हुए चले गए उनके घर में। चंदापुर जी घर में वहां मिले, बातचीत हुई। मैंने गाड़ी में पूछा कि लालू जी से आप मिले तो क्या बताया आपने लालू जी को? मैंने बोला कि ब्राह्मण आपको मार देगा, इसलिए आप दिल्ली नहीं जाना, दिल्ली नहीं जाएगा, यहीं रहना, तिहाड़ जेल, दिल्ली नहीं जाना, पटना में ही रहना, बिहार में नहीं रहना, ये ब्राह्मण तुम्हें मार देगा, ये लोग, तुम बहुत बोलता है दलित पिछड़ों के लिए, तो मार देगा, कर्पूरी को मार दे, ये लोग मार दे। मैंने यही समझा दिया, एडवाइस दिया। मैंने अंग्रेजी हिंदी बोलते नहीं थे। फिर बातचीत हुई, फिर वो चर्चा हुई, फिर साथ ही हम लोग फोटो वोटो लिए, फिर उनके गाड़ी, फिर स्टेट गेस्ट हाउस पटना रुके। फिर 2005 में जो चूंकि खबरें आती थी, दलित भाषा के मैगजीन में सूचना रहता था कहाँ मीटिंग है, क्या है, नहीं है। एक बार आपने आपने भी दिल्ली में मीटिंग किया था, 25 साल पूरा होता, रजत जयंती सिल्वर 25 ईयर्स का। तो उसका विषय था कहीं कहीं दलित भाषा यूनिटी, दलित मुस्लिम यूनिटी। तो हमारे एसके विश्वास रिटायर्ड आईएएस थे, बड़े अधिकारी, उन्होंने ऑर्गेनाइज किया था। ये सियालदा जो कलकत्ता है, मोलाली यूथ क्लब में पूरा बालकनी भरा हुआ था। मैं भी घुस गया वहां, भेंट तो नहीं हुई, लंच आवर में मुझसे भेंट हो गई। भीड़ में कैसे भेंट हुई? लंच आवर मैंने परिचय दिया, तो कहा ऐसे, व्हाट डोंट यू राइट झारखंड, झारखंड के बारे में क्यों नहीं लिखते हो, व्हाट डोंट यू राइट झारखंड। मैं लंच के बाद आगे बैठ गया तो मुझे देख लिया उन्होंने। पूछा, हाउ कुड यू नो अबाउट दिस मीटिंग? मैंने कहा फ्रॉम दलित वॉइस, इज रेगुलर लीडर ऑफ दलित वॉइस। उन लोग बता रहे दिस फेलो इज फ्रॉम झारखंड, इज रेगुलर लीडर ऑफ दलित वॉइस। वो बता रहे थे दलित वॉइस के लोग पढ़ते हैं, लोग ज्यादा पढ़ते हैं, इसीलिए ये लोग यहाँ जानते हैं। आप लोगों को पता नहीं प्रोग्राम कहाँ कहाँ होता है। तो दलित वॉइस की मैगजीन, बहुत सारे किताब वहाँ पढ़ा हुआ था टेबल पर, लोग देखे। तो भेंट हुई, उसके बाद पत्राचार भी हुआ, और उनका लेख पढ़ते रहता था। फायरी इंग्लिश था, इंग्लिश तो बहुत फायरी था। तो 2 बार मुझे, और 2000 मैंने 2010 तक मैं लगातार पढ़ा, 15 साल तक पढ़ा, पटना में लगातार आते रहे। मैकूराम जब बुद्धिस्ट, मैंने बुद्ध में धर्म में, मैंने ये हुए
जी
चेंज किए रिलीजन वो, तो वो भी आए थे पटना, गांधी में विड्रा से भी आए थे। और पटना में उनके मैगजीन कई लोग पढ़ते थे। ये राज्यसभा सदस्य अभी जो बने डॉक्टर भीम सिंह अति पिछड़ा, वो भी पढ़ा कर, उनका भी मैं लेटर पढ़ता था। और रंजन यादव भी पढ़ते थे, राज्यसभा पूर्व आरजेडी लालू यादव पार्टी। उन्होंने एक बार ऑफर दे दिया था कि वी टी राजशेखर को आरजेडी राज्यसभा में भेजेगा, उन्हें तुरंत डिनाई कर दिया, लिखा नो 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 नो, आई डोंट वांट टू बिकम ए मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट। वो डिनाई कर
जी
देगा, मुझे कहीं नहीं जाना है, नहीं वो मेरा लाइन है, जर्नलिज्म का हो ही रहा हूँ। तो अच्छा था, और वर्ल्ड वाइड जानकारी उनसे मिलती थी। विटर शेखर का आर्टिकल, किताब की जानकारी, नई किताब वो तुरंत छप जाता था, हमें भी मालूम है वो फला फला किताब छपा है, तो न्यू इन्फॉर्मेशन मिलता था, वर्ल्ड वाइड इन्फॉर्मेशन। दलित भोजन के जो जर्नल, मैगजीन्स और बुक्स निकलते थे, तो जानकारी मिलती थी, वर्ल्ड वाइड इन्फॉर्मेशन था। तो एक डीप कॉन्डोलेंस है, विटर राजशेखर इज नो मोर, डीप कॉन्डोलेंस है, थैंक यू।
Thank you, Mr. Bandhuji. You have, as I said, reading Dalit Voice, he got in touch with so many people, and he had connected with Mr. R.L. Chandapuri, one of the tallest leader of the backward communities in Bihar. Asa Ramesh ji is there, and she knew VT, so I would request her to please. Asa ji is from Bangalore, and she is. Known him. So, Asaji, please, can you speak?
Yeah.
अपना वीडियो ऑन कर दीजिए
हाँ, मैंने वीडियो ऑन किया है, but somehow it takes about a couple of minutes. But
Yeah.
I'll start
Yeah,
talking.
please.
So I would like to start with really expressing my very, very deep condolences for this sad demise of Mr. Rajshekar. He actually earlier used to be known as V T Rajshekar Shetty, so he belonged to the Bunt community of Mangalore. But then when he really sort of got into this whole fight for the Dalit rights, he decided to do away with his surname. I actually got to know him when I was working with this organization called the Joint Women's Program here in Bangalore. And Mr. Rajshekar also was associated with this organization because this organization was doing a lot of work with the Dalit community. In fact, it was here, probably the brainchild for that also could have been Mr. Rajshekar. There was a Christian Dalit rights movement, which was initiated from the organization which was known as the Christian Institute for the Study of Religion and Society, CISRS in short. And the Joint Women's Program was the women's component of this program. Now, more association with Mr. V T Rajshekar happened when I was associated in doing a study on the Devadasi practice, which is prevalent in the Karnataka and Maharashtra border. And this dates back to 1981, when the then Chief Minister, Mr. Gundu Rao, had said that this practice does not exist.
Okay.
So, a fellow activist barrister from Pune, who was working on this issue on the Maharashtra side, she contacted us and wanted us to check out whether actually this practice had stopped in Karnataka. Now, to really go and see whether this was true, because the Chief Minister had made this announcement, we went and did a small pilot study. It was me and another colleague of mine, Philomena Putturaju. So when we went and did this study, we found the practice was rampant. And this again is a practice which is the dedication of Dalit girls, particularly the most vulnerable amongst the Dalits, because even the Dalits, they have categories. So it was what they call the Madiga group, were dedicated. So when this study was done and came out, it was published, we did a little bit of advocacy with the legislators. And then an act was came out in 1982. Now, taking this study is when Mr. Rajshekar was really, really happy, and he was very, very encouraging and very supportive that the study has come out. And in fact, he used to often tell me that, Asha, you should go around speaking a lot about this study. But then what happens is that when you are with an organization, you may have done the study, but you always don't get the opportunity to speak about the study because you have a hierarchy. So then you have the top brass to speak about the study, but that didn't matter as long as the issue came to the forefront. So this used to be my association, and he always felt that that you should have got much more recognition, having been the actual person, me and my other colleague Philomena, who actually went and did the study. So because it involved the study, Rajshekar used to often have discussions with me. Also, his wife was a dear friend, because any event that used to happen in the organization, the Joint Illness Program, she also used to come. And she used to work in the AG's office those days. She's a government servant, a very, very pleasant person. And I think a great support to Mr. Rajshekar in all his efforts. Of course, I think I just had the chance to meet his son once, but beyond that, I didn't get to know him. He probably knows of me as much as I know of him, but beyond that, nothing. So I always remember Mr. Rajshekar as somebody who was very, very supportive, very, very vocal. And I think he was also a strong trade unionist during his tenure in the Indian Express, because my husband also is a journalist, and probably they knew each other, partly because they were all part of the trade union. And I'd heard that he was a very strong trade unionist, and of course had his differences, and came out because he really was fighting for the rights of the most downtrodden. And the newspapers, people who run the newspapers, are always the upper caste and the rich, who really do not want to really give space and listen to the voices of the most oppressed and marginalized, and certainly not the Dalits. And especially if they find that the Dalits are becoming stronger, or the backward communities are becoming stronger, the upper caste, everybody across the line, the Brahmins leading the list, are out there to crush them. So it's always a struggle. It's always a struggle to really, raise the issues of the Dalits. So I think I just would like to say that, and again express, condolence to his son, who's of course around, and of course the family members, even if they have not been supporting Rajshekar. But I think it is a big loss to the Dalit movement, and really to the Dalit media that he initiated. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Asaji, for such a warm and personal tribute to Mr. Rajshekar. I think Salil is right now traveling in Africa, but he said to me that he would join if in between travel he get the time. And he organized a condolence meeting in Delhi, so I participated it. But I thought that many of us who had known him, and I had known so many people who had known to Mr. Rajsekar, and that's why I organized this meeting, because many time I have seen many condolences meeting of other people also, where most of those come because of they know to their children, not to their father or the person who are we paying tribute. And I think that is why I thought that I should particularly ask. And I know many of the friends who wanted to join actually are quite old or aged, so it's sometimes become difficult for them to join online. And many had actually expressed they wanted to join. We have Mr. Arun Kumar now. Arunji from Bedford, England. Uh, Arun Kumar ji. Uh, uh, would you like to your please on your unmute yourself. Arunji, can you unmute? I would like you to would you like to speak something about Mr. V T Rajshekar, or your if you had been uh, reading Dalit Voice or not, or please. आपका वॉइस नहीं आ रहा है. There is some problem with the volume. Arun ji, your please check your audio. No. Your audio is mute. Can I unmute it? Hello. No. So yeah. Please now. नहीं, Arun ji, unmute yourself. Arun ji, unmute नहीं हुआ. So it take time. So let me travel to other friends who might be speaking. I'm requesting now we have Abhay Kumar, who is a young activist journalist. So Abhayji is been writing a lot, and he also has this working with this alternative things, suffering from his own views also. Because as we discussed earlier also, those who speak from their own voice have to face a lot of troubles and problems. V T Rajshekar faced it, and there are at least a few of us who are on the same way. तो अभय जी, the floor is yours. Please, आपके कोई एसोसिएशन हो वीटी से तो प्लीज बताएं, और what impressed you about him?
Thank you very much, Vidya ji, for organizing this event and considering me worthy of speaking about VTR. Friends, let me first accept this fact that I have not met him in my personal life. I came to Delhi in 2005 and I studied journalism, and then I worked with Indian Express for 2 years. After that, I spent some time in JNU doing my MA, MPhil and PhD. So I think it was the time when Rajshekar was not active, and I did not know any occasion when he was in Delhi. I was quite active. Had he been there, or he might have been there. I missed it, but I could not meet him. But how could I know Rajshekar Reddy? It is very interesting thing. I studied BA English honors in Patna, and I used to work with an Urdu newspaper which was located in Sabzi Bagh, which is close to Khudabakhsh Library and Patna University. And we did not have good place to study, so I used to spend most of the time in library. So in Khudabakhsh Library, if I remember it correctly, an Urdu Academy library, I saw the copy of Dalit Voice. And I did not have much understanding about what this issue is, why it is called Dalit Voice, who is the editor. I used to go through some of the articles like any other article. And it was there at Khudabakhsh Library that I inculcated this habit of reading the newspapers, particularly English newspapers, and all the major English newspapers, magazine, Frontline, they all used to come there, India Today, everything. So I used to read it. When I came to JNU, I saw that Dalit Voice was also there. And in JNU, there is a person who is our senior, who studied at JNU, who was a founder of an Ambedkarite organization, UDSF in JNU. His name is Dr. Umakant. I think Vidyaji and Binu sir know him very well. He is also very activist, very active, and all the time writing for the community. And he's true Ambedkarite. So we used to talk. And in JNU, we used to spend time eating food at canteen and maybe spending time taking tea at at Ganga Dhaba. So he used to say that read V T Rajshekar, read his book on the dialogue between the Bhu Devata. He used to say, read something about this book and that book. So he was also inspiration for me to read V T Rajshekar. My MPhil in JNU at the Center for Historical Studies was supervised by two professors from the South. One was from Karnataka. Her name is Professor Janki Nair. But another professor who was my co-guide, was MSS Pandian. So MMS Pandian, Muthaiya Samuel Pandian, he was from Tamil Nadu. And he joined JNU in 2009. I also joined JNU as a MA student in 2009. And I joined his course, Intellectual History of India, maybe in the next year. So when I look, I am from North India. I am very much born into a caste society. And we are carrying many things which is so normal in North India. We think that India is all about this. But one thing I would say that I was not the student or a scholar who opposed different views. I always liked somebody who is speaking very different thing. So I immediately joined MMS Pandian course, and he taught us a paper, Intellectual History of modern India, and he taught us Ambedkar, Periyar, Phule, and Ram Manohar Lohia. So it was through him that I came to know much about Periyar, apart from raising some slogans and knowing that he was an icon of Dalit Bahujan. But I read Periyar, particularly his magazine, Revolt, which he gave us to write an assignment. And then I started seeing some similarity between what VTR is saying, what MSS Pandian is talking about, what Periyar is saying, sometimes what Dr. Umakant is saying, something which we hear from our South Indian friends and maybe leftist friends and Dalit Bahujan friends. So now I was able to appreciate V T Rajshekar, that what he is trying to say. And I must say that MSS Pandian, a Dravidian historian, an anti-caste historian coming from Tamil Nadu, I think he was also influential. He never gave us any reading of V T Rajshekar, but since he was teaching Periyar, and when I started reading Rajshekar, I found that in his style of communication, the way he speaks, the way he writes, he's very bold and courageous. See, in North India, Vidya sir, you will be able to understand my point. There is a tendency to please everybody. I don't see, there is a tendency. And I know that there are many prominent faces of the so-called progressive group. They come to TV, they speak very good Hindi and English, and they say, मतभेद होना चाहिए, मनभेद नहीं होना चाहिए. मतलब they speak very flowery language. Okay, criticize, but you should not criticize in this way. M.S.S. Pandian was very different. Rajshekar was very different. Rajshekar, I have read some of his books. I have read some of his articles. I have written also in my Urdu column last week. I also read one piece for forward place. I am writing a paper on 4,000 or 5,000 words on V T Rajshekar. I have learned from V T Rajshekar 3, 4, 5 things. Quickly I'll say, and then I'll stop it because other friends can speak. Be bold. His method was be bold. Shake the roots of somebody's stagnation. He was used to hammer it like anything. Okay. And another thing of V T Rajshekar was that intellectuals are those who are deliberately saying something that you do not understand. And this is also the business of the so-called professional publication, the journal houses, and maybe so-called progressive media. You have to say things in a such a way that people should not understand. You read VTR Rajshekar book, anybody, I'm saying anybody, class 6 students can understand. Simple sentence, clear. Dalits and Muslims are brother. Dalits and Muslims should come together. He is not talking about such a big thing. So I find that Rajshekar is deeply influenced by Marxism, deeply influenced by Periyar, deeply influenced by Lohiyaji, deeply influenced by Phule, deeply influenced by Ambedkar. And one thing, the great about Rajshekar is that many, and let me also say this, some bitter truth, getting inspiration from Rajshekar. Now I have seen also a tendency among Dalit Bahujan thinkers also. And I'm not the Dalit Bahujan scholar. I come from very much Savarna community. I'm a born Brahmin. Let me accept this identity. I do not want to hide my identity. But still, I want to say, taking inspiration from Rajshekar, there is a tendency among the Dalit Bahujan thinkers also, and more among the progressive leftist intellectuals also, that they speak, they write, keeping in mind their calculation. For example, if I am a Dalit, I will speak about Dalit issues, but I will not be very vocal about Muslim issues. If I am a Muslim, when it comes to communal rights, I will be very vocal, but I will be not talking about caste hierarchies within the Muslims community. If I am a leftist, I will be only comfortable talking about neoliberal imperialism, neoliberalism, but I will not be talking about how the organization, how the institutions are deeply Brahminical. The V T Rajshekar was great because he did not care for anybody. And Vidya sir told me that in his last leg of his life, he was, he was marginalized, he was ignored by many scholars and activists who come from progressive and Dalit Bahujan thinking, because he was hitting everybody. He was critical of OBC also. He said OBC community has been Hinduized. He was critical of Dalit leaderships also, that why they are getting involved in, let's say, communal activities. He accepted it. He did not hide it. He said that yes, Dalits were, or tribals were involved in anti-Muslim riots. They were involved in Babri Masjid demolition. But he is also giving the cause why they are involved, why they are being misled, and while he has deep respect for Islam. He was a well-versed scholar of Islamic philosophy, Islamic history, and his book, his magazine, Dalit Voice, was inaugurated by none other than Abul Hasan Ali Nadwi the Great. Islamic scholar. He has such a what should I say, such a organic relations with the minorities community, Muslims community, Christians community, Sikhs community. But he was very critical of the 5 and top 10% leadership of the Muslims community, and he is criticizing them not from Dalit Bahujan perspective or from, let's say, from Marxist perspective. He is criticizing the Muslim elites and religious leadership from Islamic concept, and he is basically invoking the Islamic concept of the oppressed. Mustazafin, he's using the concept, and he's saying that Islam has asked the followers that you should uphold, you should embrace the most oppressed section, and you should give leadership to them. He gave the example of Prophet Muhammad, that the Prophet Muhammad accepted, gave the exalted place of a black person named that Hazrat Bilal, who became the first Muazzin. But the Muslim leaderships are not ready, they are not interested to accept Dalit leadership, to join unity with the to forge friendship with the with the Dalit community. So he was critical. He was critical. I think that V T Rajshekar, in my understanding, to conclude, he was an organic intellectual. He did not speak considering calculation, considering personal interest. And I don't know about other persons, but I feel that V T Rajshekar and his influence on me will be forever. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Abhay. You have spoken so well, and it's important actually, because it's not just important that I met him or somebody saw him. Important that you have taken his ideas, and that he has been speaking about the Dalit Muslim unity for long, long. Many of the people actually were uncomfortable with many of the ideas. Uh, but yes, fine, because we have to agree to disagree. But he was a democratic person. He spoke, as you said, he was very critical of the elite leadership everywhere, whether Muslims or even among the OBCs and Dalits. And but nobody could ever question his loyalty, his commitment to the cause of the the oppressed people world over. So we have a very, very, I would say, we are a very important person, my dear comrade S.V.R. Manoharan, who we know as S.V. Rajdurai, and who has edited that book Revolt on Periyar. You have got Abhay. So if Comrade Rajdurai can just speak about Rajshekar. Hello, Comrade, your mic is not on mute. Mr. Rajdurai is a veteran of, he has seen the Dravidian movement, Periyar, and his numerous books are there. One of his most famous book is Towards a Non-Brahmin Millennium. And he is an authority on Periyar and Dravidian movements. But unfortunately, is unable to unmute the things. Arun Kumarji from UK, from England, and he has written a lot about the Ambedkarite movement in the Northern Hemisphere. So he is here from Bedford. So Arunji, please.
Yeah. I was actually reading Dalit Voice for years, and I knew, I never met Deo Rajshekar ji, but I got one experience that I could share with you. In '91, when we were celebrating Baba Sahab's 100-year birth anniversary, at that time we actually raised cost issue in the UK, and there is a pub in Bedford, and that was called Chamar Pub by the other people, because most of the from Dalit community was going over there. So the other people started calling it Chamar Pub. So the Daily Telegraph newspaper, national newspaper, they covered the story, and they actually put my photo in the paper, and they covered the story. So the pub lady, she threatened me to sue because giving bad name to the pub. So I was actually quite scared at the time. But Rajshekar came to my rescue. What he did, he started sending Dalit Voice to the pub for a wider actually readership. So when the lady came to know this problem is actually wide, so she stopped. She didn't talk about that after that. So that was the experience I had with the Rajshekar ji. So that was a very thank you. I could not actually. We were writing to each other on this matter, and this was actually the great. Actually, he came to my rescue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arunji. This is a very interesting narrative that you made, and I can tell you that I've seen this Rajshekharji doing it for many, many people. You know,
Yeah,
wherever there was a crisis, he would send the magazine to those people who
that's
were
right.
like
Yeah,
that thing. And
yeah.
it's very, very,
Yeah, because the lady started telling the other people, it's there is a problem then. There is a problem then. So she did not say after that anything, because the local newspaper, they went there as well to actually interview the lady. So she said, I'm not going to say anything now.
yeah. So it's a good, very good experience, and because I know that he was like very well known abroad among
Yeah,
Ambedkarite circles.
yeah, that's
Uh,
right.
so
Another
thank
thing is he actually brought the blacks and Dalits that he tried to bring together. So that was another big contribution from Rajshekar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is a very big contribution. I can say this thing that the issue of blacks and
yeah,
then bringing them together with Dalits.
that's right. Yeah.
We used to read Runoko Rashidi in Dalit
That's
Voice.
right. That's right. Yeah.
So that was a very I can say one of the greatest contribution
That
of
was
VT
greatest.
Rajshekar.
Yeah. So thank you, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Arunji, for linking from there. I'm asking Mr. Rajadurai if he's able to sort out the things. There is now we have a friend, Mr. Sanjay Chaudhary. He's a young Ambedkarite, and he has his association with the V T Rajshekar. He stayed at his place also for some time in Bangalore. So Sanjay ji, are you there?
I am Dr. Yadaya.
Yeah, Dr. Yadaya, would you like to speak?
Yes, I
Yeah,
want to
please.
speak.
Please,
I
please,
was
please. Please, please, please.
wishing all the participating members. I am Dr. Yadaya from Hyderabad. I was fortunate enough to work with VTR for about 25 years as AP Dalit Voice representative. Whenever he used to come to Hyderabad, whenever he was invited to come to the meetings of the associations or the occasions on which he has to speak, first he used to contact me. So and so people, they are welcoming me, they are inviting me to speak on particular subject. You just inquire about what sort of organization they are running, so far what they have done, whether they are with the Bahujans or with the anti-Bahujans organizations. This is what you used to inquire. During the period of last 25 years, round about we conducted 200 social gathering meetings on various subjects. BC problems, SC/ST problems. He was always speaking about the present scenario of Brahminical social order, a word which was usually found in Dalit Voice. My association with him is an accidental one. The first very copy of Dalit Voice I found in my professor's waiting room. I asked my professor, where from this paper? It is from Bangalore. A noted journalist by name V T Rajshekar. For a quite long time, he was working with Indian Express. Now he is working as the sub-chief editor of the Indian Express. That's how my professor informed. With his permission, I took that one copy and gone through, ordered every month 25 copies to distribute among the interested readers. He used to send me. I used to pay him. It's not a free copies, I used to pay. Like that, we were going through the different articles on different issues. As the previous speaker was telling that he was bold enough. Yes, it is true. He was not afraid of anything. He never had a pinpoint of fear in him in telling the truth. He was quite nearer to the philosophy of Ambedkar, to the philosophy of Ambedkar, Periyar, Buddha. All these reformers, about them he studied well. Almost before becoming a Buddhist, he was a Buddhist. Both V T Rajshekar ji and myself, we converted into Buddhism in Patna, where Honorable Micron, as IGP, organized that conversion meeting. With so many difficulties, that became a successful one in the history of India. During these years, my attachment with Rajshekar ji as a journalist, as a literature lover, as an advisor to the various organizations in the country. He was always speaking about BC, SC, ST, and minorities. This is what you call, as BSO used to say, he also used to say, whatever it is the subject, he wants to convey to these four different communities: BCs, SCs, STs, and minorities. As one brother already told about Muslims, he was talking about Dalit and Muslim unity. Along with him, I participated in Dalit Muslim unity meeting in Gujarat. It was a successful meeting. And he made what you call a positive relationship and understanding between the Dalit communities and the Muslim people in Hyderabad, as per Hyderabad. ever since Honorable Salahuddin Owaisi was MP from Hyderabad. We developed that contact. Our Hyderabad Muslim brothers, they were there with us. They were supporting us. We very often we used to meet Salahuddin Owaisi. Even today we meet Asaduddin Owaisi, Akbaruddin Owaisi people as per the organizational matters are concerned. Before joining VTR, I used to work with L.R. Balaji. He was the chairman, he was the one of the founding members of the Bhim Patrika. He was propagating on Ambedkar philosophy. He was working against the Brahmins. So also, I participated good number of meetings in other states other than Hyderabad. I followed him to Delhi. There was a Dalit Voice meeting after the completion of 50 years of service to the society. I also participate one more such meeting at Orissa. I participated in Tamil Nadu. Like that, always he used to be close. He used to inquire about the present situation that was going in India, politically, socially, financially, foreign policy wise. He was now and then in a sort of smaller chit chat, he used to ask some questions. How you understood this problem? How you understood that problem? How you understood that problem? The reasons the government is getting some policies, changes in their policies, in their administration setup, how people are reacting. All these things we used to discuss. Above all, I had an opportunity like speaking to journalists like Kuldeep Nair and other people. But whatever the concern I saw in VTR, the matured concern, it's a real concern, it's a truthful concern. He was very, very, very much interested to work up to the last minute of his life. That how he inspired us. Because of his Dalit voice, we could take that Dalit voice paper to the nook and corner of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Prior to that, as we were having organizations like Ambedkar Yuvajana Sangha, Ambedkar Welfare Association, Right Protection Society, so many other organizations. But they were there without any media support, without paper support. After coming over of the Dalit voice, almost leaders from SC, ST, BC, minority communities, they were addicted to read Dalit voice. We used to come together very often. There was a change in the atmosphere of AP social life. And he's always hinting about the requirement of the social movement with the philosophy of Buddha, Ambedkar, Periyar, Ramaswamy Naikar, so many others. He used to talk about Ravidas, Kabir Das. So he was fighting what you call, in my opinion, as a journalist is concerned. He was always speaking about the weaknesses of Brahminism how Brahmins were manipulating the society, how we are becoming, because of their superstitious things, lyings, how we were becoming the victims. Being Bahujan 85% of people, these 3.5% people are controlling our nation. We have to work for the killing of Brahminism. He used to tell. Kill Brahminism. Whatever the method you want to adapt, think of always killing Brahmins. Think of Brahmins like that. He was brave enough. When we celebrated his 76th birthday in Hyderabad, about 2,500-3,000 people attended for the unveiling of book Brahminism. Laboriously, he presented that book. People received well. It has gone through nook and corner of India. After unveiling of the book, some people met VTR at back. He was telling, this is the first book for me in unveiling. You people collected 3,000 people for the function of unveiling. I am very happy. And whatever the program you conducted, how the presentation was presented to me, is all really a memory for us, like that he was talking about. We were also very happy. In his death, for me personally, I lost a teacher. I lost a guide. I lost inspirator. I lost a hope how to run the Dalit Voice after him. Recently, when I attended last week condolence meeting at Bangalore, there were good number of intellectuals. I suggested personally what I have in my mind. I suggested one point to the Dalit Voice leaders that VTR is no more, but his philosophy is there. His foundation of Dalit Voice is there. Why can't we, some well-wishers of Dalit Voice, come together, contribute together? Why can't we run re-initiation of Dalit Voice? This is what I expressed. I expressed this point in front of his son also. He promised me to speak later on. I have round about 2,000, a big collection of Dalit Voice readers' addresses all over it. I have started speaking to them. This is the position what we have to do. As per my will is concerned, continuation of Dalit Voice is more important one. Let us wait and see. Let us observe who are the present youth journalists who are able to work for the society. Let us make a group of them. Let us build up some contributing points. A real tribute will be to VTR is in continuation of that. This will be real. Just mere conducting condolences, speaking something, this thing, that thing, it's not going to end. If his philosophy was there, quite nearer to the SC, ST, BC minorities, that message we have to continue. In future, So far, whatever he was working in Dalit Voice, whatever the content he put forward to the notice of the last people, poor of the poorest of the poor people, that has to continue. That will continue. His philosophy will definitely continue. As his philosophy was quite near to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and all the rationalist leaders who are working for centuries together for the removal of the casteism and the Brahmanism. It is there with him. So long Brahmanism will continue, we have to continue the struggle. We have to oppose the caste system. We have to work for the removal of the caste system. We have to work for the equal rights of the society. That is the cherished ambition of VTRG. This is the tribute I am paying. I am very much hurt by his death. I was moving very closely with him. I had good number of hours talking at Golconda Hotel whenever he used to come to Hyderabad. He used to stay in Golconda. So these are some of the points in my mind I am keeping ever since he passed away. I am contacting good number of the contributors, as well as if any journalist who is quite nearer to VTR, you give me some names in all over India who are working for the Bahujan Samaj. Not only Bahujan Samaj, for the entire development of India. If such journalists are there, you send me addresses of those journalists. I will contact them. I will ask them, if some group people you are ready, we will provide you money and whatever the requirements are there, how to run. As I am a medical doctor, I do not have much knowledge about journalism. How to prepare it, how to start it, how to build it up. Little bit I have learned the signs and symptoms of journalism through VTR only. So on this occasion, I want to thank the organizers today's condolence meeting, and much has to be propagated, much has to be informed to the society about VTR philosophy. And if at all any research is going in journalism, if at all any researchers, journalists are there, collect all the Dalit Voice magazines ever since it took inception and continued a long period. You go through the articles, how he prepared, how he took to the notice of the common man, intellectuals, every corner and nook of the India. I request all the journalist brothers come together, form a group, so that whatever the message that was put forward by V T Rajshekar, we have to carry on that one. That is my tribute to him for his services, what he has done. But in some fronts, we failed. Very often he used to talk to me about financial conditions of the Dalit Voice. Sometimes we made little bit contributions also. Had we worked vigorously for the cooperation of collecting money, to some extent we would have succeeded. But practically, theoretically, we thought about it, but practically we could not practice it. For that we are sorry. Whatever it may be, the continuation, re-establishment of Dalit Voice, the most concerned subject to me personally, and the honest Dalit Voice readers come forward. Let us take his message not only to our present generations to come. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yadaya. You spoke so well and from your heart, and it reflected how close was the relationship. We, I know that from the pages of Dalit Voice, met so many people, and the letters people were writing, and the most important part was Mr. Rajshekar was like making personal relations with each one of us who met him. Actually, I met him in 90s, and I became like a very close. I feel that whatever I know about Ambedkarism started from him. It began from him. Ambedkar, Periyar, Black movement. So and he was very not just behaving as an editor, but also like an elderly person who guides. And due to that, so many links came up. Anywhere he would go, he would ask, if I am traveling somewhere, he would say, oh, meet that person, and he would give the phone number of the person, and also send the message to that person. So he was like much more uh, connecting what we could have connected through the internet in today's time. So thank you so much for this. Is so such a warm tribute, and that is why I actually organized, because I saw when the in-person meeting happened in Delhi, there were not many people who knew much about him. They came, they spoke, but there was still the feeling of that thing that uh, the people who had known him. So people like you, and we have Comrade Rajadurrai, but still unable to connect. And because he had known VT and wanted to speak about him. Comrade Rajadurrai, are you there? I think he's not able to connect. So this is the problem, because most of the friends are elderly people, and in a remote locations. So I'm now
विद्या जी विद्या जी मैं अवेलेबल हूँ अभी मैं सेटल डाउन हुआ हूँ आई वाज ट्रैवलिंग इन ऑटो सो यू नो सम
ah
फ्रेंड्स वर कॉलिंग
yeah. So okay, please, because अभी आप बोल सकते हैं संजय has been traveling. He is now based in Visakhapatnam, or
यस यस
and he knew VT Rajshekar as a young student. He met him, and also in Bangalore he was associated. So Sanjay ji, please share your experiences.
जी 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 तो सबसे पहले बीटीआर को मैं नमन करते हुए लाल सलाम हुल जोहार जय भीम उनको पेश करता हूं और मेरा एसोसिएशन बीटीआर के साथ 2005-6 से रहा एंड ये करीब 2012 टिल आई रिमेन इन बैंगलोर बहुत ही ही वाज माय मेंटर फ्रेंड फिलोसफर गाइड हम लोग बीएचयू में एससी एसटी स्टूडेंट यूनियन करते थे एंड आई वाज वन ऑफ office bearers for 2005-6. I think some of my friends, Geeta and Sarvind, might be here. So, I came across Dalit Voice while I was exploring, literature on Dalit issues. तो बीएचयू का सेंट्रल लाइब्रेरी में इनका सब्सक्रिप्शन आता था एंड जस्ट आई रेड एंड गॉट टू नो बीटीआर तो मैंने उनको एक लेटर लिखा पोस्ट कार्ड एंड requested him to send the Dalit Voice copy and to surprise to me he sent a lot of books old copies of Dalit Voice and also handwritten not it's typed postcard I kept all those postcards with me till recently but after shifting to different location I forgot some of them so I kept, speaking to, writing to VTR, and moment came in 2005 December when I invited him for a talk. That time his book "Caste a Nation Within the Nation" was published, and it got a Lisa Award. So, but we had certain issues, like affording guest coming from Bangalore to Varanasi. So I was very candid. I told him, see sir, we may not be able to afford airfare and hotel accommodation. He said nothing worry, just um, I'll travel on my own, and he travel on his own, and we arranged a very huge big gathering in BHU, and he talked on caste issues. It was a grand success. There was a lot of you know questions, counter questions, and the way he spoke, like many speakers have spoken about him, his style of writing and speaking, he was very straightforward. So and he was taking a kind of lecture. He put whiteboard. We arranged a whiteboard, and he was explaining how caste mechanism and works in India. And so there were many professors, including Professor Pramod Bagde, MP Singh, and some others. So it went fine, but repercussion of that event happened ki some of ABP guy, RSS fellows, they complained to vice chancellor and registrar, and there was some issues, and I was so-called notice issue against me, and then I had to explain to them that was okay. But after BHU events, I did clear my entrance test for National Law School Bangalore for master's program, and I had no idea how to go. But when VTR visiting BHU, he told me ki you applied for NLS, and if you get selected, it would be great things. Sir, some call is coming.
Yeah. Sanjay is on a professional work, so we have.
Sorry, it
Yeah.
got this. Yeah. So I got selected, and indeed I topped the list in NLS interest test. I informed BTR, see, I have no contacts. You are the only contacts in Bangalore. And coming from village background, BHU, and then Bangalore was a different altogether for me. I reached a station, Bangalore station, and I called, his landline number, and he was very happy, and he said, no, don't worry, Sanjay, just you come down to my flat, and he will be my guest. And I stayed with him for a couple of days, I think 4-5 days, and he got in contact with one professor, Professor Japet. He was teaching at National Law School Bangalore, and then my headache was just resolved. So in this way, I joined NLS, and I kept writing for Dalit Voice, very small pieces, some kind of letters, but he kept guiding me, and most important things, almost all his writing, small booklets, caste on Brahmanism, and merit my foot. That trigger my if I want to counter this Brahminical anti-reservationist, you read this book, then you can argue with them. Merit my foot. It's very worth reading. It's very a small booklet, but it's very important. And all his arguments on Jainism, and this black people, and how a lot of things. He was like my mentor at Bangalore. So in between one student at ISC, Indian Institute of Sciences, committed suicide. He was from Andhra, and I was involved in activism in Bangalore also. So we campaigned and for some, and that later was published in Dalit Voice, and I met a director of this ISG, and we demanded inquiry, and some Samta Sainik Dal and some Ambedkarite organization, they were also, and VTR also came, and we protested in Bangalore. So that kind of not for just, he was not just publishing or editing Dalit Voice, but also he took he participated in protest and any kind of injustices against Dalit and Bahujans. So I saw very close eyes, and I used to take some students to his flat and Dalit Voice office, and he used to just sort, you guys, you don't do anything, you are just like Baba Sahib ke struggle ka, he was just reaping the benefits, and he was so coward. Sometimes he was very abusing, ki after getting educated, after LLM, PhD and all that, you marry Brahmins and your life will be so lavish, and you will forget Dalit cause. And so I said, I promise I will never marry Brahmin, but that is different. So he was very conscious, ki how these neo middle class Dalits, lower middle class Dalits, they fall in trapped. So such kind of person he was. And also I would like to refer his ideological influence on me. Actually, he was initially Marxist. Many of you might be knowing. Later on, he shifted to Ambedkarism, and so he, gave photocopies of on contradiction, the Mao classic, on contradiction, and he said, "He read twice, thrice." Because I know our people, they don't read, they just raise rhetoric, but we have to very thorough in Marxian classics. So I read for the first time on contradiction, and then manifesto and all others. Apart from Baba Sahib writings, he used to refer all these Marxian literatures. One thing I must state here, that he wanted me to get into the Bangalorean culture. So when I landed in Bangalore, after 1 or 2 days, I still remember, he took me to Le Méridien Hotel, the 5-star or 7-star hotel, and I was very lean boy, very shoddy clothes. So he took me to Le Méridien, and just he took me to and he said, "See how these people are enjoying, and where are our peoples." He was so concerned, and he bought this beer and all, beef. Yeah, he said, Dalit must eat beef. I ate, with VTR beef, and drank this, wine and all that. So it was not he was trying to make me bourgeoisie kind of individual, but he was trying to get get the exposure of upper middle class or upper class lifestyle. So that was amazing things, and he used to visit law schools. I had some 1 or 2 lectures of him at Bangalore, and so in this way, he influenced me in my thought process, my orientation, and my activism. I remain close. I used to visit his office, and in his car, he used to take me to around city, and and many intellectuals used to visit Bangalore from Maharashtra and other parts of India. So because I was associated, so I whenever discussion happens about Dalit Voice or VTR, so I said, I know him personally. Let us meet. Let us go and have some chat, and so. In this way, till 2012, till I happened to be in Bangalore, I had contact. After I moved to other city, Surat, Gujarat, and keep roaming around. So then with regret, I lost contact, and he also shifted to Mangalore. And he was very, very upset. These people, Dalits, they don't support, they don't subscribe Dalit Voice. He was having fund issues because he was unable to run, publish Dalit Voice because of fund issue. So he was little, not little, but very, very, upset about the Dalit middle class. So this was one, and also I remember, PTR, his kind of obsession with this linking with Brahmins with Jew. this I find very crazy. When I started exploring on my own, I had some differences. Sir, this is the kind of argument you take. It won't take much ahead. We need to have scientific approach to understand the society and polity and economy. And also he was very, very kind of Indian Marxist practitioners of Marxism. He was very against. He used to say all these Marxists, they are run by Brahmins. They don't they just use Dalits to just raising flag and sloganeering, but they are not doing enough. He was at core, in my private discussion, he said, Sanjay, I am a Marxist, but I got fed up because of this practice, this uh, 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 Indian Marxists, they have betrayed the revolution and the cause of working class. So this was one aspect. Another is to say, UP has great hope, and he used to say, Chamars are born to rule. He used to say to me, this single caste, it has pan India, purgence. If they understand this, Marxism and Ambedkarism, nothing, stopping back. He was very, very, hopeful. He was having very positive note on Kasi Ramji, but he was, somehow, skeptical to Mayawati. She was not. He was not very much. He said, "This Mayawati is busy in, these petty things. Or of course, creating Dalit icons, statue and all that. It's okay, but." He was very much concerned about creating Dalit Media Center, and when he met Kasi Ramji, and he said he argued let us have a sort of Dalit Media Center in Noida, but it didn't happen. So he was very much at pain. Mayawati didn't do enough to create Dalit intelligentsia, Dalit media, and all that. So this was the memory I have with VTR. And also, there was a conference at Hyderabad. I think Dr. Yadaya has spoken. I met him. He may not remember me, but I met him. And Gadar came in that meeting, and I also happens to be there. And he spoke at length, on all sorts of issues confronting Dalits and Bahujans. So I had a very fond memory of VTR when I came to know he has passed away at Mangalore last 20th. I thoughts goes to him and his family's members, Salil ji, and friends and comrades. So I have a lot to say, but I would like to listen other participants. Geeta has also she also met at BHU. She was just doing I think plus two or what. So we visited hotel and we had very long discussion with VTR. He used to support all we students, and he was very hopeful. Young generation will take Karma Baba Sahib to greater heights. So with these words, I salute, I pay my respect to BTR. And one of the things which may be done, digitalization of his writings and Dalit Voice and his books and booklets, it would be a great treasure for upcoming generation. So with this, I thanks Rawat sir for your kind invitation and this event. We should celebrate such kind of intellectuals and activists as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. Such a wonderful experience that you have had with V T Rajshekar. And I can tell you that today's meeting has proved like so many people were not able to express and not able to join anywhere, because that is what happening today's time. When there is no institution, there are individuals. And when individuals pass away, go, disappear, then their families take control who had nothing to do earlier. And they have even when they go, they might have, but so many people were not known on their list. And that is where I had actually decided personally that I knew, I can say that many more people would have joined because of this internet thing. Now many of the contemporaries of Rajshekars are quite veteran, post 80s.
Correct.
plus 70s. It's very difficult. I know Comrade Rajadurrai, he is 86 years old, and it's difficult for some of them, to find out how to press, and he was very keen to speak, but unable to connect from Kotagiri in Tamil Nadu. So these are the things, and I knew many of them, like you and others, who had known him because I had followed and I was very closely associated till end. So we have Mr. Devinder Chandraji from Birmingham. He is editor of Samaj Weekly. Is working and a dedicated Ambedkarite. So Devinder ji, कुछ बोलेंगे थोड़ा सी? It would be good if you can share, because he is also running a paper and he has all his money dedicated to the magazine. पैसा नहीं आता है, पैसा जाता है केवल. So that is why actually how we have to think of why our people who are now quite wealthy भी लोग आ गए हैं अभी, तो थोड़ा सी contribute या support कर सकें. This is a challenge and V T Rajshekar has this challenge all the years, because वो अकेले ही एक मैगजीन निकाल रहे थे. Nobody was there to support him actually. एंड वेन एवर वी यूज टू राइट ए लेटर, वो एक के साथ में जो है 4 मैगजीन भेजते थे अपने, और उसके साथ में बुक्स भेजते थे. और वो जो कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन है वो तो मुझे हर बार बोलते थे कि कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन जरूर पढ़ो, कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन जरूर पढ़ो. एंड दिस वाज सो इम्पोर्टेंट. सो देवेंद्र जी, प्लीज शेयर योर एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ रनिंग योर पेपर एंड हाउ डिफिकल्ट इट इज फॉर एन अम्बेडकराइट टू स्टार्ट ए मैगजीन एंड रन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. दैट ये इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन टुडेज टाइम व्हेन वी आर रिमेंबरिंग वीटी राजशेखर. देवेंद्र जी.
सभी साथियों को जय भीम. पहले तो धन्यवाद रावत जी का, जो आज आपने ये मीटिंग अरेंज की है. बहुत अच्छा, साथियों को सुन के बहुत अच्छा लगा. और राजशेखर जी के बारे में पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस जो आप सभी ने बताया, बहुत बढ़िया लगा. मुझे मौका नहीं मिला पर्सनली उनसे मिलने का, लेकिन मैंने दलित वॉइस को टाइम टू टाइम पढ़ा है. मेरा जो अपना एक्सपीरियंस, अभी मैं पेपर निकालता हूँ समाज वीकली, जो हिंदी, पंजाबी और इंग्लिश में है, और एक द एशियन इंडिपेंडेंट है जो टोटली इंग्लिश में ही है. वो दोनों निकालता हूँ. अभी 12-13 साल हो गए इसको निकालते हुए. तो एक्सपीरियंस तो सभी का एक जैसा ही है, स्ट्रगल करनी पड़ती है, आसान कुछ नहीं है. तो लेकिन अभी जैसे आपने बाली जी का जिक्र किया था, भीम पत्रिका वो निकालते थे पंजाब में, और वीटी राजशेखर जी ने दलित वॉइस निकाला, और बहुत से कुछ और भी पेपर निकलते हैं. ये पेपर जो थे ना, अम्बेडकरी लोगों द्वारा अम्बेडकरी लोगों के लिए, उस मूवमेंट के लिए निकाले जाते थे. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट होने भी चाहिए. लेकिन मैं महसूस करता हूँ कि कुछ ऐसे पेपर भी होने चाहिए जो अम्बेडकरी लोगों द्वारा मैनेज किए हों और आम पब्लिक के लिए, मतलब आम पब्लिक में जा सके. तो ये मेरा एक्सपीरियंस था. मैंने समाज वीकली इसी तरह से तैयार किया और एशियन इंडिपेंडेंट भी इसी तरह से तैयार किया. तो अभी जो मेरी लीडरशिप है मिलियंस में है, और उसमें सिर्फ अम्बेडकर ही नहीं है, जनरल लोग भी हैं जो हर रिलीजन के हैं, हर कास्ट के हैं, हर स्टेट के हैं, और वर्ल्ड वाइड हैं, पढ़ते हैं. बहुत अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स भी है. तो मैं चाहता हूँ कि आज के दिन वो भी होना चाहिए कि हमें इस तरह की जो पत्रकारिता है, जो जनरल पत्रकारिता है, उसके और भी ध्यान देने की जरूरत है. तो अगर हम वो कर सकें तो ठीक है. बाकी सहयोग तो बहुत मुश्किल है, मिलता ही नहीं है. लेकिन जो मैं महसूस करता हूँ वो ये है कि अपने जो राइटर्स हैं, अपने रिपोर्टर हैं, बहुत कम है. इतना बड़ा मेरा प्लेटफॉर्म है, पढ़ने वाले हैं. तो अभी जनरल पब्लिक को देने के लिए हमारे पास वो राइटर जो होने चाहिए, जिस तरह के होने चाहिए, वो मेरे ख्याल में नहीं है, अवेलेबल नहीं है. राजशेखर अपने तौर पे एक बहुत पर्सनैलिटी थे, वो अपने तौर पे इतना कुछ लिख लेते थे कि शायद दलित वॉइस के लिए किसी की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती थी. तो लेकिन जैसे हम निकाल रहे हैं पेपर पर अपने समाज वीकली और एशियन इंडिपेंडेंट, उसके लिए राइटर्स की और रिपोर्टर्स की और अप टू डेट जो रिपोर्ट हो रही है, इंडिया में हो रहे हैं, जो वायलेंसेस हो रहे हैं, उसके बारे में मतलब लोगों में जागृति, लोगों से शेयर करने के लिए वो चाहिए. आजकल जो सोशल मीडिया, यूट्यूबर है, उस पर काफ़ी कुछ मिल जाता है, लेकिन राइटिंग में जो होना चाहिए वो नहीं है, वो बहुत कम मिलता है. तो इसलिए अब सभी साथी, विद्वान साथी सुन रहे हैं, अगर आप इसके लिए कुछ कर सकें मिलजुल के, तो आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद होगा. बाकी ज़्यादा नहीं, टाइम ज़्यादा हो रहा है, आप सभी बिजी हैं, तो ज़्यादा समय नहीं लूँगा. पे माई ट्रिब्यूट टू वीटी राजशेखर जी इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
थैंक यू सो मच देवेंद्र जी. यू आर वर्किंग, और इम्पोर्टेंट था कि आप बर्मिंघम से जुड़े. सो इम्पोर्टेंट, that people from all over the world have joined. अभी हमारे साथ में हसीना हाशिया जी हैं. शी इज with Institute of Objective Studies in Delhi, or Dr. Manzoor Alam founded the Institute of Objective Studies. Manzoor Alam Saab is I connected to him through V T Rajshekar ji, and then I came to know about Institute of Objective Studies. So they were good friends. So Hasina ji, if you can unmute yourself, and it would be good. Hasina Hasia ji. Hasina Hasia ji. So I think she might be somewhere else. गीता भारती जी हैं. गीता जी कुछ बोलेंगे? गीता भारती बनारस से जुड़ी हैं, और जैसे उन्होंने बताया कि गीता भारती जी कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे?
हाँ सर, जय भीम.
जय भीम. Can you put your video on?
Yes, I'm trying. It is setting problem,
Okay.
not showing. Jai Bhim to all of you.
Okay, जय भीम.
हाँ
Yeah,
सर.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah, गीता बोलिए. आप you met VT once, I think.
Yes सर. वीटी राजशेखर सर के बारे में तो जितना कहा जाए उतना कम है. इट्स अ ग्रेट लॉस ऑफ सोसाइटी कि हमने उनको खो दिया. लेकिन मेरी कुछ मेमोरीज हैं बीएचयू को लेकर के. जब संजय भैया थे यहाँ पे, तो उस समय उनको एज अ चीफ गेस्ट बुलाया गया था. और बीएचयू में इतना अच्छा मतलब वो था उनका कि एक प्रोवोकिंग स्पीच उन्होंने दिया. और जैसे पोडियम के जस्ट बगल में सरस्वती जी का और मालवी जी का स्टैचू रखा गया था. और मुझे याद है, आई वाज इन 9th क्लास. सो हम लोग बैठे थे और पोयम और ये सब प्रेजेंट करना था, उसमें बैठे थे. तो सर आए और बोले कि ये कौन है, इनको तो पहले कवर कर दो. और, और पूरा मतलब पूरा वो ऑडिटोरियम में सब लोग शॉक्ड हो गए कि इतना डायरेक्टली मतलब महामना को बोलना. और फिर ये सरस्वती जी का बोले तुरंत कवर करो कवर करो, जरूरत नहीं है इनको, तुम लोग क्यों रख दिए ऐसे. और शानदार स्पीच थी सर. और उसमें सर ने जैसे एक होता है ना कि दलित दलित होने से हम लोगों में इंफीरियोरिटी का जैसे आ जाता है. हम लोग पीएचडी भी कर लेते हैं लेकिन उस तरीके का गट्स नहीं होता अपनी बातों को रखने का. हमारी पर्सनालिटी उस तरह की डेवलप नहीं होती, या इस तरह की चीजें जो उन्होंने आइडेंटिफाई की थी उसको स्टूडेंट्स के बीच में उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से बताया कि आप लोग अपना जैसे फुल कॉन्फिडेंस में रखो. और बीच-बीच में एक स्पीच का लाइन्स भैया को भी याद होगा कि उन्होंने बोला था कि व्हाट ब्राह्मणास हेट वी शुड लव इट. हाँ, तो उसमें कि वो अगर गाय को माता मानते हैं तो हमको उनका मतलब वो खाना है, मांस खाना है. और बोले कि संस्कृत को मतलब संस्कृत को आप वो करो, मतलब इंग्लिश सीखना है, इंग्लिश. हाँ, इंग्लिश को प्रमोट करना, मतलब कॉन्फिडेंस भर दिया था उन्होंने उसमें. और वो उसकी वजह से जैसे ये सरस्वती जी की उसको कवर करने का, या फिर बीफ के लिए इतना प्रमोट करने का, ये सब चीजें हुई जब बीएचयू में. तो पूरा हिंदुत्व का वो उसमें उन्होंने आग ही लगा दी थी. तो बाद में काफी नोटिस वोटिस आ गई थी प्रशासन की तरफ से, और सब फैक्टोरियल वाले घुस गए थे अंदर. हाँ, बहुत बवाल मचा था उसमें. लेकिन सर का कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्कुल डाउन नहीं हुआ और काफी अच्छे से वो किए. मतलब एक होता है ना कि मुर्दे में जान फूंकने वाला स्पीच था उनका. और फिर बाद में पर्सनली हम लोगों से मिले. आई हैव फोटोग्राफ्स आल्सो इन माय एल्बम. उन्होंने मुझे वो दिया था पोएम प्रेजेंट करने पर प्रशस्ति पत्र दिया था और उन्होंने बताया कि आप लोग छोटा-छोटा एक पोस्ट कार्ड लिखा करो। मैं अपनी मैगज़ीन्स में आप वो करूँगा छापूँगा उसको, आप लोग पढ़ो। ढेर सारी दलित वॉइस दे के गए थे। अभी भी मेरे पास है, मैंने उसको रखा हुआ है बहुत सँभाल के। और उसमें फिर मैंने बहुत छुट टूटी-फूटी इंग्लिश में मतलब मैंने लिखी थी पोस्ट कार्ड और उस पोस्ट कार्ड को उन्होंने मतलब प्रिंट भी किया था उसमें। फिर उसकी कॉपी हमको मतलब मेरे गाँव में ये इट्स अ वेरी रिमोट उस टाइम में रिमोट एरिया है, उस टाइम में था। उतना अच्छा ये पार्सल या कोरियर पहुँचना आसान नहीं फिर भी वहाँ पे भेजे थे उन्होंने। इट्स अ ग्रेट लॉस सर।
Okay, thank you
थैंक
so
यू
much.
सो मच।
थैंक यू सो मच गीता। आपने इतना महत्वपूर्ण बात बताई। देखिए, वो वीटी राजशेखर की खास बात थी कि एक लेटर्स जो हम लिखते थे, हमारे अंदर वो कॉन्फिडेंस न था कम नॉर्थ इंडिया के कम से कम लोगों के अंदर। जब वो कोई चिट्ठी लिखते थे तो उसको वो दलित वॉइस में पब्लिश करते थे। इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट इज दैट कि वो उस एक पोस्ट कार्ड का जवाब दूसरे पोस्ट कार्ड के साथ में 5-6 मैगजीन लेके देते थे कि आपके पास आएगा। एंड सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट था कि लाइक वी ऑल बिकेम कॉन्फिडेंट ऑफ स्पीकिंग एंड स्पीकिंग विथ करेज एंड कन्विक्शन। दैट वाज ही। और आई कैन रिमेंबर दैट आई ऑर्गेनाइज्ड अ प्रोग्राम फॉर हिम इन दिल्ली ऑन द 25 years ऑफ दलित वॉइस एंड इट वाज एट द गांधी पीस फाउंडेशन। और वहीं जो आपने कहा उन्होंने वही किया। वहाँ पर उन्होंने कहा कि भाई गांधी जी को कवर कर दीजिए, इनकी ज़रूरत नहीं है यहाँ पर। और वो हमारे लिए बड़ा एम्बेरसिंग भी हो गया, बहुत प्रॉब्लमेटिक हो गया, क्योंकि वी हैड एक्चुअली, तो जैसे होता है वो अनफिल्टर, उनको इसकी परवाह नहीं। और कई बार ये प्रॉब्लमेटिक होता है कि आपको काम करने, तो देर आर बोथ साइड ऑफ द स्टोरीज कि आज के ज़माने में जो लोग जो है कल अम्बेडकराइट हो जा रहे हैं, सुबह को अम्बेडकराइट हैं, शाम को जो है वो जय श्री राम के उधर चले जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि जिधर भी है वीटी वॉज वीटी। तो उसके उसके चलते उनको उन पे टाडा भी लग गया, उनको सेडिशन के केसेस भी लग गए, उनको हाथकड़ी भी पहना ली लोगों ने। ये मतलब ही वॉज दैट सो अनफिल्टर्ड, एग्रेसिव, ओपन एंड कोई उनको खरीद नहीं सकता था। वो ऐसा नहीं है कि सुबह किसी ने बोला कि इधर करके आप बीजेपी की तारीफ करनी है तो आज उधर हो जाएगा उधर हो जाएगा। जैसे आज की डेट पे जो हो गया है, लोग वेरी सिलेक्टिव, वेरी टारगेट, वेरी कैलकुलेटेड। तो थैंक यू सो मच। ये इट शोज हाउ he was encouraging the youngsters, and it is very warm relationship. See, it's not merely that we are the readers of the Dalit voice, but we were like it's closely connected, and that connected he created actually everywhere in those times when there was no internet. In those time, in today's time, we are unable to call people through emails and through even phone calls, but he was actually making these linkages and developing the youngsters, asking them to read, study, and very humorous person in personal life. So I would like to speak to Mr. Rajadurrai. Are you able to, sir? If it is able to unmute and show, we would be very happy, because most of the people have spoken, and I would like Mr. Rajadurrai, if he can really, it will be great if you can speak, because the audio is not working, but still I'm hopeful. If it works, it will be great for all of us to listen and your experiences and what you want. Comrade, are you hearing me? This is the problem. He is unable to. Okay. Just a second.
Sir,
Hello.
make a personal call to him.
Hello, comrade. Yes. Friends, so our friend Mr. Raj Durrai, very veteran, who has one of the finest scholar on Dravidian movement in Tamil Nadu. He is speaking and he is speaking on the WhatsApp straightforward. So he wanted to speak. Yeah, comrade, please. Mr. Yadaya, Dr. Yadaya.
Vidyaji, you are
Abhay Kumar.
putting
Abhay Kumar.
Vidyaji, you are putting the headphone there. You put the mic there. Put the mic. That is lower. Mic.
of the Dalit Voice. So I was very, very happy with him. Then later on, actually, my activities, my political or human rights commitments went in a different direction. So I was not able to then relate to him quite often as I had been doing in the past. And I always found him a very open-minded person. Just as he seemed to be very harsh with his adversaries, he was also so friendly with the people and who disagree with him. And sometimes, he will throw up some actually very strange ideas. And one of the times I can distinctly remember was I was discussing with him the nationality question in India. Then after a week later, probably, then he wrote an article. I remember that each caste is a separate nation in India. Actually, that idea seemed very strange and outlandish. Then I asked him then what he really meant. It is actually he's developing a theory he found in Dr. Baba Sahib's annihilation caste, about the caste. How the caste remained as a kind of a Leibnizian monads in India, and they were not able to relate to each other. And they remain always isolated to each other, but at the same time, they will always make you think aloud. and to think about the nationality problem in a totally new way. So I think that I will remember him. In Tamil Nadu, actually, in this present generation, there are very people like me and Punitha Pandian of Dalit Voice who remembered him, and we shared our grief with friends and sent some communications about him. And the only organization which remembered and paid rich tributes to him was Dravida Dr. K. Veramani. He wrote a very moving editorial in his official daily Vidudhai. I was very happy about it because at least some few thousand people would have known who VTR was. And I still remember humorously, actually when I met him first, he was still called V T Rajshekar Shetty. It was a very great embarrassment for him to be called with his caste appellation. Then I told him, okay, you have got rid of it, but others actually want to stick to it. What can we say? But eventually he was able to get rid of that appellation finally. Then he came to be known only as VT Rajshekar or VTR, the close friends. So it's very, 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 very rare to see such an open-minded and a creative mind these days. And I actually pay him a rich and great tribute. My red salute to Rajshekar is a blue salute. It's a black salute of Periyar and also red salute of the communist movement. So this is what I would like to say briefly to the participants. And I'm also very thankful to the participant to be patient with me, to be able to hear my voice through some other devices. I thank you all, and I'm also very thankful to Vidya for organizing this kind of meeting, where actually many scholarly people could hear their opinions and remembrances about that great man called VTR. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Thank you so much. So friends, I hope you are able to listen to Comrade Raj Durrai's feelings about BTR. He knew him from 1979, he's saying. And after that, he was unable to connect with this online thing. So that is where a lot of difficulties. But thank you, Comrade Raj Durrai, for speaking so clearly about V T Rajshekar and how people in Tamil Nadu, like Dr. K. Veeramani, wrote an editorial about him. And that is where I would say, like, how the political leaders in North India did not even write or speak about him after his passing away. It is shocking for me. I always, I always want to know how our people are. I saw and I followed, like when he passed away, I was just following it, who said what. And there was a very warm tribute by Siddharamaiah, the Chief Minister of Karnataka, and Mr. M.K. Stalin, who actually wrote a much better tribute to him. But I'm very surprised. I didn't hear anything in North Indian politicians who VTR has always been appreciating, whether it is the BSP leadership or even Lalu Prasad Yadav. He has been speaking highly of him, but all of them remained quiet. And that also reflect uh, why the so-called elite leadership among all communities, they never interested in independent media. VT Rajshekar wanted a Dalit media. He was always like hopeful that Mr. Kansi Ram or later Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav or Mulayam Singh Yadav would be helpful, but ultimately none of them. The reason for that is very clear. Political leaders, political parties, are not interested in independent, autonomous voices of the community, and they all need, the mouthpieces and loudspeakers for them who can just narrate and write about who garlanded them, where they ate, who they met, just kind of all the event management that is being done by everyone. And it is difficult and impossible for anyone to, as I said, who can buy a procure V T Rajshekar kind of person who was very independent, thoroughly independent, I could say. And that is where it's important for all of us to think of. Our friend Binu Matthew actually said a statement. It was very warm of him. He says, look, the countercurrent, the magazine that he's running, countercurrent.org, was influenced by V T Rajshekar. And he feel that he is currently carrying that legacy. So the magazine is not there. Obviously, Countercurrents has done great service, and I would say it is a wonderful platform, and we need to have more and more platforms. Obviously, Dalit Voice, we don't have a control because I think his son Salil has started. I had invited a friend who was working with the digitalization process, but I think uh, after joining, he left. I don't know why, but they had started the digitalization thing, but yeah, it's his son Salil who is doing it. I don't know who are the people and who else are there. And so we can't have their, this is, everybody has his own kind of thoughts and processes. So even if Dalit Voice start now, we don't know who start and how it goes. So maybe his son has something in mind. But I always mention this thing that all people actually should during their lifetime actually convert their work into institution. Otherwise, it goes in the hands of the people or the families, and family may or may not be interested. In both ways, I think. So this is a somewhere some problem. But Binu, would you like to speak? Binu Matthew. Binu, would you like to
Vidyaji,
speak?
thank you. Vidyaji, thank you. What I was trying to say was that, because VTR has left us, the work he has done is being carried forward by many people like us. You, me. It was a kind of a light, and light is, we are the reflectors, and we are reflecting the light, that was produced by VT Rajshekar through our work. What I would like to say that, everybody should carry on their own work. That would be, produce their own work that would reflect the ideology that VTR created, idea and ideology that VTR created through Dalit Voice. In that way, we can carry on the legacy of VTR. And also, as you said, the converting individual efforts into institution. I don't know how I can do that. Anyway, that's a good suggestion. That's very important also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Binu. Yes, I always felt it actually because sometimes it happens most of the time. After the people are out or after their demise, they become the family person. The family owns them, and their ideology and ideological friends are out. Most of the time, it happens, and nobody of us is actually exception in that, unless we can do that thing at some point of time and think of how it can happen.
Vidyaji,
So,
there is a danger to that. If we,
yes,
VTR was VTR because, he carried on. He was a one-man army.
yes, yes,
He continued his work without any chain. If you become an institution, you have to carry
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of chains with
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I agree with it.
That won't be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with this. Things have changed a lot also, and I was just telling a friend that you know in these times, if he were writing, he would have been really in trouble. Fortunately, he was not writing in these times. It was very difficult. If any friends who I have missed and who want to share something, please, because we have already 2.5 hours, I think. So anyone, any friends who knows him maybe and has not spoken, please, I would uh,
रावत जी, मैं कुछ ये जो नॉर्थ इंडियन के जो बुर्जुआजी पॉलिटिशियन है, लालू यादव एंड अखिलेश एंड मुलायम सिंह यादव स्पेशली, देन मायावती, इनके प्रति बीटीआर का बहुत उम्मीद था। खास करके लालू यादव,
बहुत ज्यादा
हाँ,
उम्मीद था।
लालू यादव के प्रति तो ही वाज वेरी क्रेजी कि उन्होंने दिस इज द गाय हु कैन टीच दिस ब्राह्मणिकल लेसन। लेकिन जो जिस तरह का पॉलिटिक्स से ये फॉलो करते हैं, आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स से वो ठीक है, एक लेवल तक वो जा सकते हैं, लेकिन जो पूंजीवाद का जो असर है समाज में, देश में, उसको काउंटर करने के लिए तो एक रीथिंक करना होगा। एंड बीटीआर का मेरा जो बात के समय में जो थोड़ा डिफरेंस, मतलब आई एडमिट कि आई हैड सम डिफरेंसेस, बिकॉज ही वाज वेरी मच आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स को बहुत ज्यादा वो उम्मीद से देख रहे थे। लेकिन आपको, जैसे हम लोग सब जानते हैं कि ये किस तरह से उत्तर आधुनिकतावाद का एक बाय प्रोडक्ट है, और कम्युनिटी को खंड खंड में बांट करके जिस तरह से फिर आरएसएस और न्यू लिबरलिज्म ने जो टेक ओवर किया है, तो वो तो मतलब प्रोजेक्ट बिल्कुल, मतलब आई डोंट फाइंड मच स्ट्रेंथ इन सच काइंड ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स कि आप हिंदुत्व को इस आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स से, तो ही वाज वेरी डिसएंचेंटेड और बहुत मतलब ना
लास्ट में तो ही हिमसेल्फ बिकेम विक्टिम ऑफ दैट ना। लास्ट में तो पीपल स्टार्टेड आस्किंग व्हाई इज स्पीकिंग दैट मच, ही इज नॉट ए दलित, देयर आर मेनी क्वेश्चन।
हाँ, मैं अपना आई लेट मी टेल माय ओन एक्सपीरियंस। अभी मैंने एक ग्रुप में शेयर किया आपका आपका जो लिंक था, तो देयर आर सम पीपल कह रहे वो तो सेट्टी था, वो तो ही वाज नॉट दलित एंड ही जस्ट हम कहे कि दलित नहीं था तो वो बारे कोई बाय बर्थ जो है, देयर आर मेनी पीपल हु आर नॉट बाय बर्थ दलित, लेकिन दे हैव एक्सपोज्ड द कॉजेज ऑफ दलित। तो ये तो एक बिल्कुल एक रिवर्स कास्टिज्म, जो जिसको कि आप उसके काम को, उसके राइटिंग को, उसके कमिटमेंट को वो नहीं देख के जस्ट एक एक्सीडेंटल चीज को ही आप देख रहे हैं कि जन्म हो गया किस पर्टिकुलर फैमिली में या कम्युनिटी में, कास्ट में, तो आप बस उसी को लेकर, तो ये प्रॉब्लम जो है आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स के साथ में इनहेरेंटली है ना। और वो है ना, वो बहुजनवाद से दलितवाद, फिर जो है ना यादववाद, जाटववाद, चमारवाद, और फिर एकदम व्यक्तिवाद पर सिमट जाता है। इसी में हमारा जो मतलब कि टेक मतलब इनके साथ हुआ कि नहीं, मार्क्सिज्म में अभी भी काफी फोर्स है, आप उसको आप क्रिटिक कर सकते हैं, सीपीआई सीपीएम ब्रांड ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स, लेकिन उसके वजह से इसका जो पोटेंशियल जो है ना, इमेनिसिपेटरी जो पोटेंशियल है मार्क्सिज्म का, वो खत्म नहीं हो जाता है। इस चीज को दलित क्यों नहीं उठाते हैं भाई? आप दलित की भी लीडरशिप लेते हैं कि आप ही बनो कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी, है ना, आप तो वो क्रिटिक जो है इंडिविजुअल प्रैक्टिशनर्स का हो सकता है, लेकिन आइडियोलॉजी के मामले में तो मेरा व्यक्तिगत राय है कि इट हैज लॉट ऑफ पोटेंशियल, और ये इम्यूनिसिपेशन का है ना, वो चाहे वर्किंग क्लास का हो, और है ना, दलित की मुक्ति तब तक नहीं हो सकती जब तक दलित वर्किंग क्लास करे। ये दोनों इंटरलिंक्ड है, क्योंकि 90% तो दलित सर्वहारा ही है, वो चाहे
और अगर पूंजीवाद को लेके और कैपिटलिज्म को लेके कोई ओपिनियन नहीं होगा तो कोई मतलब ही नहीं बनता है। वी हैव टू हैव आवर ओपिनियन इन कैपिटलिज्म।
वो ही वाज फेड अप विद लालू यादव,
I agree with that. I agree with that point.
That is the point I wanted to make.
No, thank you so much, Sanjay ji. ये बहुत important. See, this meeting has brought up is so many ideas. I really say that none of the condolences meetings are like this, only because you have all expressed so much. So Manoj Kumar ji हैं झारखंड से. I want to because he's raised. Manoj ji, please.
धन्यवाद रावत जी। आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी,
हाँ। राजशेखर साहब को हम इस रूप में याद करते हैं। जब हमें पता चला कि वो नहीं रहे तो सबसे पहले तो बड़ा दुख हुआ, और जब हम आज के समय में जब उनके हम श्रद्धांजलि सभा में हम सब यहाँ जुड़े हुए हैं, तो हम याद करते हैं कि हमारा स्कूली दिन था, स्कूल में हम पढ़ा करते थे, लगता है क्लास 6, 7, 8 प्रोग्राम पढ़ते होंगे। और एक सामाजिक संगठन अर्जक संघ से हम जुड़े हुए थे। तो हमारे घर में पिताजी चूंकि उस विचारधारा के थे, तो हमारे घर में कई तरह की पत्रिकाएं उस समय आया करती थी। एक ये भीम पत्रिका थी जिसका किसी साथी ने जिक्र किया अभी। एक अनार्य भारत भी आता था। एक सुशील पत्रिका निकलती थी पटना से, वो आता था। एक अर्जक पत्रिका वगैरह था। तो चूंकि हम इस विचारधारा से धीरे धीरे जो है रम गए, इस विचारधारा में आ गए, तो 10-20 लाइन का कुछ कुछ हम लिख दिया करते थे। तो हिंदी पत्रिका वगैरह में छपती थी। तो पता नहीं कहाँ से, हो सकता है कहीं से एड्रेस मिला या कोई भेज दिया हो, तो हमें ये ठीक से याद नहीं है, लेकिन किसी तरह से जो है वो दलित वॉइस पत्रिका जो हमारे हाथ लगी और हम उसको पढ़ें। क्योंकि हम लोग हिंदी बैकग्राउंड के थे तो इंग्लिश तो बहुत अच्छा नहीं था, लेकिन फिर भी मैं किताब को पढ़ता था और मोटा मोटी बात को समझ जाता था, भले बोल नहीं पाता था। तो दलित वॉइस पत्रिका जब हम पढ़े, जब पहली बार मेरे हाथ में लगा, तो एक हम पोस्ट कार्ड लिखे कि भाई हम उस पत्रिका को, हम जो उसमें सब की सब था, उसको हम ये नहीं अफोर्ड कर पा रहे, नहीं ये कर पा रहे। तो उस पोस्ट कार्ड को हमको याद है कि वो राजशेखर साहब जो है अपनी पत्रिका में छापे, और उसकी वजह से जो है वो पत्रिका रेगुलर जो है हमको, कोई एक जो रीडर जो इस पत्रिका के रहे होंगे, वो धुबरी के रहने वाले थे, धुबरी आसाम के। और वो जो है पत्रिका को जो लगातार हमारे पास भेजने लगे, और हम हमेशा पत्रिका को पढ़े, और बाद में हम अपने द्वारा उसको मंगाने भी लगे। तो दलित वॉइस पत्रिका जब हमारे हाथ में आई, तो शुरू शुरू में तो लगा कि आमतौर पर जो आज भी लोग समझते हैं कि दलित का मतलब कि वही शेड्यूल कास्ट का मामला होगा, क्योंकि मोटे तौर पर दलित तो वही। लेकिन पत्रिका वगैरह जब पढ़े तो लगा कि नहीं भाई, दलित का जो ये दायरा जो है बहुत बड़ा है। उस सेंस में जो है वीटी राजशेखर साहब जो है इस बात को देख रहे हैं। दलित का मतलब है कि जितने भी सारे एसटी, एससी, ओबीसी, माइनॉरिटीज वगैरह सारे लोग जो है दलित। और उन्होंने जैसे कि कम्युनिस्ट विचारधारा में जैसे सर्वसंपन्न वर्ग और दूसरा जो है सर्वहारा वर्ग की जो बात की, उसी तरह से बीटी राजशेखर साहब ने अपनी पत्रिकाओं में बार बार इस बात को जोर दिया कि समाज का जो, या भारतीय समाज जो है, उसमें जो दो वर्ग, जो एक वर्ग जो वर्किंग क्लास है, जो मेहनत करके, जो श्रम करके जो है जीविकोपार्जन करता है, और दूसरा वर्ग वो जो बैठे बैठे जो है वो अपना जीविका जो है इधर का बात उधर करके और मुंह चला करके जो है जीवन यापन करता है। और मोटे तौर पर उसको, जो हम लोग आज के समाज में इसको सवर्ण वर्ग कहते हैं, है ना, उस वर्ग के रूप में कैटेगराइज करके और अपनी बातों को बहुत संजीदगी के साथ समझा। और हम यहाँ आज के समय जब हमको राजशेखर साहब को जब याद करते हैं, तो हम देखते हैं कि उनका जो सोच था और उनका जो पत्रिका के द्वारा जो लोगों को समझाने का जो मामला था, वो बड़ा व्यापक किस्म का था। भारत में जो पत्रिकाएं, जो हमारे आसपास में जो हिंदी की जो पत्रिकाएं जो निकलती हैं, उन पत्रिकाओं में ज्यादातर जो है वो जातिवाद पर प्रहार किया जाता है, धर्मवाद पर प्रहार किया जाता है, गीता पर, रामायण पर, तमाम तरह के जो धार्मिक जो ग्रंथ होते हैं उस पर प्रहार किया। लेकिन ये दलित वॉइस के द्वारा, जो पत्रिका के द्वारा जो हमने जो देखा, और भीटी राजशेखर साहब की जो किताबें जो हमने पढ़ी, कई किताबें आज भी मेरे पास है, यहाँ अलमीरा में पड़ी हुई है। तो उसमें हमने देखा कि वो बड़ी व्यापक पैमाने पर अपने रीडर को जो है वो समझाते हैं, बताते हैं, एजुकेट करते हैं। वो जीव के बारे में बात करते हैं कि अमेरिका के किस तरह से इकोनॉमी को जो जीव कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं। आज जो इजराइल में जो मामला जो चल रहा है, तो उन लोग का ओरिजिन कैसे है, उन लोग का सोच कैसे है। और हम लोग जो यहाँ के जो दलित पिछले जो ओबीसी क्लास के जो लोग हैं, माइनॉरिटी क्लास के जो लोग हैं, वो लोग में और बाकी जो यहाँ के जो अपर क्लास के जो तबका, सवर्ण तबका है, उन लोगों में क्या अंतर है। और ये जो ब्राह्मणिकल जो है, उसको बड़ा वो क्लियरली डिफाइन करके बताता था कि ये इन लोग का जो रेस जो है वो इंडियन ओरिजिन का नहीं है। वो सब उसी रेस के आए हैं, जो वेस्टर्न, जो इजराइल वगैरह, जो अर्मीनिया, अजरबैजान के इलाके से आए हुए जो लोग हैं, यहाँ पर आए, और हमारे दलित पीछे जो कहे जाने वाले जो लोग हैं, उन लोग पर, उस पर जो है किस तरह से शासन करने लगे। और शासन करने के बहुत सारा उन्होंने हथकंडा अपनाया, तरह तरह की किताब रखी, उसको धर्म ग्रंथ का नाम दिया, और तमाम तरह की चीजें उसमें लिखा, और अपनी भाषा बनाई, संस्कृत जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं। वो संस्कृत वगैरह को सीधे सीधे जो डिनाई करते थे, उसको जो है बोलते थे कि ये भाषा की कैटेगरी माने की चीज ही नहीं है, वो भाषा कैटेगरी। वो अंग्रेज पढ़ने पर बड़ा जोर देते थे। हमको याद है कि पहली बार, चूंकि जो बीएसएनएल का जब सिम जब बटा था, तो पहली बार जब राजशेखर साहब से जब बात हुई थी, मोबाइल वगैरह, वो जो बटन वाला जो मोबाइल जो होता है, टिप टॉप करने वाला जो मोबाइल जो होता था, मोबाइल खरीदे, तो उनसे जब बात हुई तो हमको बड़ा अंदर से बड़ा खुशखुशी और बड़ा गुदगुदी लगा। और हमको लगा कि आज जो मोबाइल जो हम खरीदे हैं ना, लगता है कि आज वो सफल हो गया। मतलब कि अंदर से इस तरह का फीलिंग है। हमको याद है एक बार हम राजशेखर साहब से मिले हैं, यहाँ बंगाल में, वेस्ट बंगाल में एक जगह है उलुबेड़िया। उलुबेड़िया में एक कार्यक्रम था, बहुत बड़ा कार्यक्रम था। उसी कार्यक्रम में जो है वो बुलाए थे हमको। तो हम वहाँ गए, और मंच पर वो बैठे हुए थे, कई तमाम लोग थे वहाँ पर, वो हमको ही बुला कर अपने पास में वो बैठाए। और उस कार्यक्रम में जो उनके भाषण को हमको सुना, और हमको लगा कि भाई ये आदमी जो है किसी बात को जो मैंने आज भी जो है जिस तरह की बात को वो जैसे कि एक मैडम बता रही थी, जैसे कि लोग खस्सी का मीट खाते हैं, मुर्गा का मीट खाते हैं, उस तरह से गाय का मीट भी हम लोग खा सकते हैं, हम लोग खाना चाहिए हम लोग। इस तरह की बात कहना जो है आज भी लोग हिम्मत नहीं कर पाते हैं। और राजशेखर साहब आज से 25 30 40 साल पहले भी, 40 साल पहले तो हमको याद नहीं है, लेकिन 20 25 साल पहले जो पत्रिकाएं निकलते थे उसमें खुलेआम कह देना और संस्कृत को डिनाय कर देना, उसको भाषा का दर्जा न देना, ये तमाम तरह की बात को कहना बड़ा हिम्मत की बात है, बहुत करेज की बात। उलुबेड़िया का भाषण में उन्होंने देखा, चूंकि पत्रिका में लिखते हुए थे, वो बोले कि भाई वो दलित समाज जो दलित में जो दलित वॉइस के हम दायरे में हम देखते हैं, जो ST SC OBC माइनॉरिटी के जो लोग हैं उन लोगों के बीच में, और मुस्लिम जो कम्युनिटी यहाँ है, भारत की जो मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी है, उन लोग के बीच में एक भ्रातृत्व की भावना, एक अपनापन होना चाहिए। जब तक ये दोनों का बॉन्डिंग नहीं होगा ना, तब तक ये जो देश जो है आगे नहीं बढ़ेगा, समाज में जो समता का व्यवहार नहीं हो पाएगा। और हम जो अपनी जो संस्कृति, जो बराबरी वाला संस्कृति, जो मेटकराइट संस्कृति को स्थापित करना चाहते हैं, बुद्धिज्म की संस्कृति को अपना स्थापित करना चाहते हैं, वो स्थापित नहीं हो पाएगा। इसीलिए वो दलित और मुस्लिम के एकता पर बड़ी जोर दे देते हैं। इस तरह की बात करना, अभी भी लोग कोई समाज में कोई कहे कि भाई दलित और मुस्लिम के बीच में एकता होनी चाहिए, आपसी मैंने मेल भाव होना चाहिए, मजबूत बॉन्डिंग होना चाहिए, आज भी ये कहने की हिम्मत बड़ी कम लोग कहेंगे। उन लोग कहेंगे नहीं भाई, उन लोग का कल्चर अलग है, उन लोग खान पान अलग है, उन लोग तमाम चीज की चीज अलग है, दलित समाज का OBC समाज का अलग है। लेकिन इस बात को बड़ी समझा करके बड़ी जोर से वो बोला करते थे। और हम लोग आज देख रहे कि देश में, समाज में आज इस चीज की बहुत जरूरत है। आज देश का माहौल कितना खराब हो गया है, ये हम लोग किसी से छुपा हुआ नहीं है, ये तमाम तरह की बातें। तो राजशेखर साहब की हमने बहुत सी किताबें पढ़ी, उनका जो मैगजीन जो था, दलित वॉइस मैगजीन था, उसको भी हमने पढ़ा। और हम देखते थे कि छोटी सी बात अगर 4 लाइन 10 लाइन की चीज भी अगर उनको पोस्ट कार्ड के द्वारा भेजा जाए, वो उसको उसमें छापते थे और इनकरेज करते थे हमेशा लोगों को, कहते थे कि पढ़िए। हमको याद है कि जब उनसे हम टूटी फूटी इंग्लिश भाषा में जब उनसे बात कर रहे थे, तो हम बोले कि सर हम ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल होगा आपसे कितनी बात कर रहे हैं। तो वो बात किए वो, लेकिन वो बोले कि भाई आप सोचिए कि अम्बेडकर साहब तो भाई बहुत गरीब परिवार से थे, कोई बहुत धनी मनी घर के थे नहीं, बहुत इंग्लिश मीडियम वाला बैकग्राउंड के थे नहीं, मगर उन्होंने कोशिश किया, मेहनत किया और अंग्रेजी को सीखा, और देखिए अंग्रेजी के इतने बड़े विद्वान बने। वो बोले कि अगर मेहनत करे आदमी, अगर पूरे शिद्दत के साथ में, तो कोई भी बड़ा विद्वान बन सकता है, कोई भी आगे जा सकता है, हर चीज आदमी सीखे। तो इस तरह से देखते हैं हम लोग कि राजशेखर साहब जो है वो लोगों को जो है वो इनकरेज करते थे आगे बढ़ने के लिए, अपने समाज में उठाने के लिए। और वो शादी विवाह का जो मामला है ना, एक साथी बता रहे थे, आज भी याद है, वो कहते थे कि भाई जितने जो लोग हैं अपने समाज के, वो अपर क्लास के लड़कियों से शादी वगैरह करके जो है वो चले जाते हैं, उसके बाद जो उनका जो वो जो सामाजिक मूवमेंट का जो धार होता है वो खत्म हो जाता है। तो हम लोग को मोटे तौर पर हम देखते हैं कि राजशेखर साहब वो बहुत बड़े विद्वान थे, और अपने समाज को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए और एक अच्छे समाज बनाने के लिए, प्रगतिशील समाज बनाने के लिए, और हम लोग को इनकरेज किया करते थे। और आज बड़ा दुख है कि राजशेखर साहब हम लोग के बीच में नहीं रहे, और उनके चीजों को जो हम सब याद करके जो है हम लोग उनको श्रद्धांजलि हमको दे रहे हैं। धन्यवाद रावत साहब, धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद चंद्र प्रकाश जी, आपने बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बातें बोली। और
मनोज
बहुत
कुमार,
हाँ, मनोज मनोज जी, सॉरी, आपने बहुत अच्छा लगा। और कम से कम हम इतने लोगों तक पहुंच पाए कि जो राजशेखर जी को जानते थे या उनको उनसे समझते थे। और यही इसका उद्देश्य भी था, क्योंकि मैंने ऑल ऑफ इट सोचा कि एक हमको करना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये बहुत ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि हमारे एसोसिएशन थे उनके साथ में बहुत पुराने। एंड आई फेल्ट इट इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू इनवाइट। सो डियर फ्रेंड्स, थैंक यू।
Vidyadhar, can I speak for a minute?
या प्लीज।
I am Prakash Mool Bharti.
या प्लीज प्लीज।
हाँ, कुछ हिंदी में बात करना चाहता हूँ। जब भी मैं उनसे मिल के आता था,
जी।
कभी दिल में ये होता था कि मैं अगली बार मिलूंगा या ना मिलूंगा। अच्छा, वो जो इतने फ्रेजाइल हो गए थे, ही वॉज नॉट एबल टू वॉक। मुझे हमेशा ये दर्द होता था कि कहीं गिर के मर जाएंगे ये, विथआउट मेडिकल एड। बड़ा दुख की बात है, हमेशा तो सोचता था मैं। फाइनली ही डाइड इन द हॉस्पिटल, मेडिकल केयर हुआ है उनका, वही मुझे कंडोलेंस तो है ही है, मगर एक इतना ही शांति है दिल को कि ही डाइड विद मेडिकल एड। बहुत तकलीफ की बात थी वो, इसलिए तो जस्ट आई वांटेड टू से इट। Thank you very much once again for organizing this. अब तो बहुत
हाँ
लोग देखेंगे.
नहीं बिल्कुल
But
थैंक यू सो मच प्रकाश जी यू आर क्लोज टू हिम एंड डॉक्टर यादैया बीनू मैथ्यू संजय जी गीता देवेंद्र चंद्र जी अरुण कुमार जी मनोज कुमार जी all friends who joined I want to thank you Asha ji she started and it has been an enriching experience for me I can say it really uh, I can say that this meeting, this tribute that you have poured your heart in it, and let's continue to meet because the legacy that is left, we must. There are people, all of us are somewhere fighting our own struggles, and that's why I say that we need to regularly be in touch and speak to each other and share our thoughts. That is the only way in today's time which are more difficult and strengthen each other. So that is only I can say. And thank you so much for your participation. And let's meet together whenever is possible. Please. So thank you so much, friends, and wishing you all strength. And again, paying my tribute to V T Rajshekar for his um, all what he did for bringing all of us together. He was an uncompromising person, a very man full of conviction, ideological conviction. So I can pay my tribute as a person who don't follow the God's path. I can only say we salute you, Mr. Rajshekar, your work and your all that you did for the oppressed minorities of the world.